All right, guys. I got the legendary Dak Sake here with us again. We're here to talk about One Piece and all the theories we have coming off of this latest chapter. Before we get to that, though, I gotta ask, how did you enjoy the chapter? Did you like Ronya? Did you like the Sombers fight? Did you like Gaban coming at the very end?
This was an awesome chapter. And by the way, thank you for inviting me on. I'm excited to talk about this. This was a great chapter to talk about because of some of the theories that are going to come out of the end of the chapter. But as for all the other stuff, loved Ranya. Ranya is a star now. Ranya needs to be saved, which I also have issues with Jarl using that method to save her. Like, you know, it's time to go beat up these guys and save the kids. But love Ranya. Love that moment. And I think, you know, looking back a chapter or two ago with that Brook moment where he, you know, told Gunko, like, I'm with the Pirate King. Like, Luffy saved me. I would rather die than join you, kind of thing. And that's the kind of moment that we love from One Piece, where, you know, the Straw Hats defend their captain. There's all those moments where they say, you know, Luffy's the one who's going to be the Pirate King. It's like that same thing. But then Ranya here came out of nowhere and had kind of a similar moment where it's not the Pirate King thing, but it's that deep emotional, you know, like, we're here for a bigger reason kind of thing. Like, and she's a kid, you know, like, that's the amazing thing. She's like, I love the school. We have fun there. If me dying, or, you know, if destroying the school means that I gotta die, then, well, I'm pretty lucky. You know, like, it's just, I don't know, man. I think she's awesome. I think Oda's in a good spot with Elbaph.
I love that you are a Ronya fan. I love that Ronya has touched the hearts of so many people, but she hasn't touched mine.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'm not a big Ronya fan.
Did Jarl touch your heart with the time to burn
yeah,
down the school?
Jarl. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Jarl did say burn down the school and library, and I felt something right there. I was like, whoa, look at the sacrifice.
Is there a specific reason, or did it just not hit you the same as everybody else?
It just didn't hit me the same. Ronya doesn't have my favorite design. I don't like Ronya's personality. I don't like the speech. But, I mean, that's besides the point. I get the impact, and I do want to save her. You know, at the end of the day, she is still a kid. I want to save her. But I feel like this would have been better if it was a different kid there. You know what I mean? Like, for me, like, you know, put like Scotty, or, you know, put Colin up there. I'd be a little bit different.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, and personally, I feel like it was so unexpected, and that's what made it hit for me. Is like, if you put Colin up there, I expect Colin to. Well, he probably wouldn't say the exact same thing, but he would definitely say something combative. Like, he wouldn't say, you know, the same kind of spiel that Ronya said. But her coming out with her being a character we don't actually know that well. We just met her. She has these, you know, buck teeth and everything, and she comes out there and has this like amazing speech. And I mean, she is technically like 20, but she's still a kid, you know, for Elbaph, so it's still amazing to see that kind of wisdom. So I just feel like, I don't know, the randomness of it is what really hit me. But
I was so caught off
surprised.
guard.
I'm surprised it didn't hit you, man. That was a big moment for me.
Yeah, no, I liked it. You know, like I said, as far as like a plot character goes, I enjoy Ronya. I just don't like Ronya. It was just so funny though, because like I remember coming off of 1147, I was like, you know, like Ronya's not my favorite. I'm not like really vibing with her character. So coming into this chapter and it's titled Ronya, my mouth was like wide open. I was like, no way, I can't believe it.
And we're still waiting on the Ange chapter for you, Sai.
We're still waiting for the Ange chapter.
Yeah, that'll be your time to shine. And I will say one thing about the just the general situation, whether it was Ranya or not. I really liked the setup where like the arrow almost made like a walking the plank situation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And we've never really seen that in One Piece, right? Like, we've never actually had someone walk the plank, and again, that's not exactly what happened here, but it's very similar. And I just love that setup. And you know, trying to force the school to get burned and everything. And there was one guy from the Giants who actually said the truth, or I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, hey, think about the bigger picture here. If you give up the school, they're just going to keep taking things. Like, the point here is that they're, you know, forcing you to act the way that they want. Like, I know you're worried about the kids, but like, if you go burn the school, they're just going to start demanding more from you. You know, like, you got to stop them now. And that's how I felt the whole time, is like, you know, love the moment for Ronya, didn't love the moment for Jarl. But the thing that everyone should be saying is like, let's just go beat these guys up, because like if they're going to demand this, you know, this isn't going to be the end. They're not going to leave.
Like, I agree with you, right? I think the easy solution is to beat the God Knights. The problem is that the kids are in immediate danger. Like, let's say they don't give an answer, right? Like, let's say they're all running towards Ronya as we speak. I don't think they're going to make it in time, right? Gunko could easily just kill Ronya aside from just having her walk the plank. You know, even with Scopper at the very end of this chapter, he's coming in, he's slicing Sommers, cutting off the hand and everything. He looks cool, and he looks like he will overwhelm Saint Sommers, but Gunko's not nearby. You don't see Gunko near Sommers at all in this chapter.
Right.
So there's a chance that Sommers is like, hey, Gunko, they're attacking. Kill one of the kids. Prove a point. Right? Like, let's say that happens. And then Scopper, at that point, his hands would be tied. He would have to stop fighting. And same with the Giants. Like, I think simply defeating the God Knights is a good answer. But how many kids would we sacrifice in the process, I think, is the problem with it. Or the real issue.
Yeah. It's tough because, you know, once you burn down the school, then they can just kill the kids. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of screwed if you do, screwed if you don't kind of situation. Like, that's why I think, I mean, you know, and in the story, I get that Oda's mirroring, you know, like in real life, that would be really hard to make that decision. You know, like if your kid was, or, you know, you and I have cats, right? If one of our cats had to walk the plank, I might think about burning down the school. But I would also know, once I burn down the school, they're just going to be like, hey, burn down this other thing, or else, you know, Jeff is falling off the plank. So
it's tough too, because even though Ronya is going to live off of this chapter, seemingly, right? We don't see Ronya unwalk the plank, but seemingly Ronya is going to survive because the Giants are caving in. But there's still, the God Knights are still going to take them back to the Holy Land. So at any other point in time, they can say, hey, burn down this or burn down that or fight these people, or else we're going to kill Ronya. We're going to create this exact same scenario. So like you said, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And that's why, like, I think there needs to be like a contract, like, hey, do what they want for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then they'll let the kids go. And then you have that, like, in, I don't know, writing or some kind of demon pact so they can't, like, betray you. But they're God Knights, right? I think they're playing this situation to their strengths, if holding hostages is a strength. But they're doing really good stuff here.
Yeah, and I think the other layer to it too is, you know, that it seems like with the walking the plank situation, you know, the kids are just going to jump off. And like, I mean, I don't know enough about Elbaph, but I just feel like with like the cloud stuff they have, like the flying ships, like there's probably some way to save them even if they did fall. Like, maybe you'd have to run over there and set it up, but like, if you have flying ships, I'm just, you know, I don't know. I feel like you got other options if you want to save them.
Jinbei could save her. I mean, Jinbei can cloud bend, essentially, right? We saw him put out the fire with clouds. So technically, he could just do this and then create a cloud path for Ronya. Yeah,
or, I mean, Lilith is on the island. Like, Lilith, hey, you guys had a cloud machine, and didn't they, and like, Jinbei, you know, brought, I mean, I know that the technology he brought was like the cloning stuff, right? But like, you got the lab, you got some of the stuff from Egghead. Like, I'm sure there's something you can do. Given that the Giants are using clouds, like, some of the smart people could figure it out. I don't know. I feel like, and also it's One Piece. Not that, you know, the people in the world are going to think about this, but no one's going to die if they jump off that thing. You know, in One Piece.
Yeah.
If anybody actually falls, they're not dying from that. But
would Oda kill a kid? Well, like you said, 20-year-old kid, but would Oda actually kill a kid in the series? Because we haven't had that happen yet, right? We haven't seen a kid get maimed. Maybe the God Knights break that cherry, but that'd be pretty insane.
Well, it depends if you count like unconfirmed deaths.
No, I don't count unconfirmed ones. It has to be like a named character, and we have to like go to their funeral or, you know, see the aftermath of their death.
Because I was gonna say, let me find it. Lammy, Law's younger sister.
Oh, yeah, you're right, Lammy.
But like, that's a no body, no death potential situation. I know a lot of people think she might come back, or some people say she might even be Gunko, which I think that's a little bit much, but. But she technically died as a kid, I guess. So
Yeah, okay,
she's the only
okay.
one I can
Lammy's a
think
really
of,
good
though.
one. I forgot all about Lammy.
Well, and I know Sabo didn't end up dying, but it's like almost just as bad, where
Yeah.
he just got attacked by the celestial dragons. So that's another one, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But if Lammy ends up
Huh.
living, that really proves what we're talking about. We're like, Oda just will not kill like a named child.
But I just forgot. There was an entire like genocidal event for kids, and that was Big Mom's birthday party or something.
Oh yeah, I guess if you're counting that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's another one where like we're meant to believe that she ate everyone, but then could Oda come back later and add a weird twist where maybe only Mother Carmel got eaten and the kids ran away or something? Like, I wouldn't be shocked if that, because since she has the fruit, we can pretty
We
much
know that
presume
Carmel's
she
gone.
had. Yeah, but the kids, maybe they just ran away because they got scared. I don't know.
Yeah, and there have been just like Lammy, there have been a lot of theories that the kids are still alive, or like one or two of them became a god knight or something of the sort, or one of them will be reintroduced later and they're gonna fill out Big Mom's story, like fill in the gaps and tell her what happened. So yeah, you like, it's funny, like all the kids we're talking about right now, yeah, they have theories that they're still alive. And then Sabo, right? The minute we saw Sabo in the backstory, we saw him get blown up, we knew he was alive. Like that was undoubtedly, right?
Yeah,
That was just right there in front of
giveaway.
our face. It's like the Obito backstory in Naruto. You see Obito and you're like, okay, I wonder who this is, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes you can just tell, like, whenever the backstory is getting told, like, okay, this person's not dying. Like that
Yeah,
that
they're
person.
alive.
Yeah, they're definitely coming back. They're gonna have a role.
Yeah. So Sommers, we see in this chapter, flexes immortality. He
Yep.
is able to crack his back into place. Usopp calls him a zombie, just like Gunko. And it's funny because the same chapter his regeneration is introduced, it's taken away too. Scopper comes in at the very end, slices off the hand, and Sommers is kind of shocked. He says, "Wait, it's not coming back? Like, what's going on here?" What do you think is the cause of that? Do you think it's the Conqueror's Haki? Do you think it's a coated blade? Do you think it's a material? Where are you at right now?
It's funny because I think there's a lot of good ideas that kind of like you just laid out.
Yeah.
And I can think of like 3 or 4 that I would like or I see possible. But I think, ironically, what it depends on is really what where the immortality comes from. Because if it is, let's say, from the immortal youth surgery, for example, if that's what gives them this, ability to regenerate, then I would maybe more easily believe like it's hockey, because like maybe you're almost canceling that immortal youth surgery, like your hockey's, because we saw with like Law, like Big Mom and Kaido could use hockey to not get teleported, right?
Yeah.
And that's the op fruit anyway. So it's like, okay, maybe you can do the same thing, but if you get strong enough, you can stop the immortal youth surgery effect on somebody. Like that's one angle.
Ooh.
But then let's say the immortality is from something else, like it's from the abyss stuff, it's from some underworld evil stuff. Then I think there's like a million potential options, honestly. I think Morge did a video recently on permanent hockey infusion, which I kind of like, because that's kind of what I was saying with Law, but almost like to another level, where like if you can send your hockey maybe into another object or into another person and like leave it there, maybe that'll stop that ability. Like the regeneration will stop because your hockey is not letting any effects take place. I've also heard that it could be a sunstone weapon that Scopper used, which I feel like that's maybe a bit much, but it wouldn't surprise me because we already had sea stone, which is what helped stop Logia's, right? Like now we learned that hockey could do the same thing, but because we have sunstone and sea stone, that's interesting to me. And then you also think sun, like it creates light, like the rainbows and stuff like that, and then you're going against people with like this black darkness stuff that's regenerating, right? So it's like light versus dark there. And yeah, I mean, I got some other options if you want to hear them, but those are kind of my favorite 2 that I've heard so far.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the hockey infusion. I didn't know Morge making a video about that, but I do agree that one really good option is the fact that Scopper hit Sommers and then maybe he left his hockey inside of him, and it's doing like constant DPS damage so that he can't regenerate. I think that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about the constant like DPS angle, but that would kind of make sense. Like he's like continually hurting him, so then he can't regenerate.
Yeah.
I like that. I was more thinking that it just nullifies the powers essentially, like like at its core. But damaging him constantly could work too. I mean, it's funny because like you look back even to like Saturn and Egghead, and like whenever Kuma punched him, like he lost his arm, he's all bleeding, and I did kind of wonder back then. Like, what if you just kept punching him? Because, like, he is hurt, right? Like,
what if you just keep on hitting him? I love that.
Like, the way that he's, like, laying back on the rubble and, like, he's missing his arm and stuff. Like, he's obviously, like, in pain in the sense of his body is broken. Like, he can't walk right until he heals up. You know what I'm, like, there is damage. Like, whether or not it's permanent and it's going to matter is a totally different story. But, like, he does get damaged. And so I was just thinking, like, if you just sat there and kept punching him over and over, like, he probably can't get up until you stop so he can regenerate, because, like, he lost his arm and stuff. You know what I mean? So
have you watched Dragon Ball Z or, like, any of the movies?
I've definitely seen Dragon Ball Z. The movies, maybe, like, 50-50.
So, spoiler on a 30-year-old movie, but in Return of Cooler, that's kind of what they have to do, because that's when Metal Cooler comes in. He's like the big Starghetty version of Cooler who died earlier, and he's all robotic. And his robot parts allow him to constantly regenerate. He cannot die. And it's kind of the same concept. I think Vegeta and Goku, they broke off his arm, and it just came right back. And they're like, why won't you die already? And then they just kept on shooting him until there was nothing left to regenerate. That's how they ended up winning that battle in the beginning. And then they had to go on and fight the core, which would kill all of them, but... yeah, I thought that was really funny. That's what you reminded me of.
Yeah,
just keep on punching him.
I'm thinking now, I am like 90% sure I rented that movie at Blockbuster.
Ooh, positive. You have like the VCR tape?
I'm almost positive when
VHS.
I was younger, we rented that movie from Blockbuster. I'm almost positive. But yeah, I think that's one angle. I mean, I think that's something that people can do, but is that like the key to beating them? Like that's kind of what maybe that's even my problem with the DPS hockey angle, is like you could do the same thing with punching theoretically. Now maybe hockey's easier or better to do, but like you're not stopping the immortality in its tracks. You're just continually hurting so he can't regenerate. I feel like that's a little bit different. So I feel like it might be something else. Like my gripe with it being like just stronger hockey essentially is like it's a little repetitive. I know that's what the story has obviously done over and over again. Luffy's been improving his hockey since the time skip, and that's been a big factor.
Yeah.
Conqueror's hockey came into play in Wano. Like obviously Oda's been building up the hockey angle, but I feel like with something like the regeneration, it's not that it can't be hockey related, but I think if it's as simple as like, oh, there's just a better tier of hockey that you haven't unlocked yet. It's like
tier.
It's like, well, we're using advanced conquerors and stuff. Like, let's have something a little more fun, a little more outside the box. Like that's what I think about that. And maybe it could still be a new type of hockey or a new way of thinking about hockey. Like maybe Scopper says, oh, you need to like go for their soul or their personality or like their lifespan or something. You know what I mean? Like something deeper than that. Then I'm like, all right, like that's a new way of thinking about it. That's cool. But if it's strictly like stronger, that's like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd like it. Depends on how Oda does it.
No, I completely agree. I'd prefer if it wasn't hockey related, but if it was hockey related, then I wouldn't want it to be Conqueror's hockey related, because that's such a gate-kept ability. Of course, like every top tier has it at this point. It's at first it was like really special, like 3 characters in the series has Conqueror's hockey. It's super rare, guys. You got to be born with it. That was insane. But now Kid has it, Kaido has it, Big Mom has it, Luffy has it, Zoro has it, Don Chinjiao has it. Like we're just giving it to kind of everybody. And I'm not gonna lie, like if you are the top of the verse, you just have it already. So that's why I kind of don't want it, because that kind of would take away from potential Straw Hat fights, right? Like, let's say you need advanced conquerors. Like, okay, so Nami's not going to get a fight. Usopp's not going to get a fight. Frankie's not going to get a fight. Robin's not going to get a fight. Brooke's not going to be able to fight anybody. I think that's my discrepancy with why I don't want it to be that. But if it was hockey, like I said, I think a spin on armament or observation wouldn't be awful. One wacky, kooky idea I've been playing with right now is that maybe it has to do with what we saw back in Film Red, where there was like this alternate dimension, and the Straw Hats alongside the red-haired pirates had to work together in tandem to attack Todd Musica.
Yep.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe like it's advanced observation, kind of like what Usopp displayed in that moment, where Usopp could see both dimensions through his dad's eyes. Maybe Scopper's not just hitting Sommers, but hitting Sommers' real body or his soul, or the Sommers that exists in a different plane. Yep. Something like that. That's kind of what I'm playing with right now.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because they kind of called him a zombie a couple times.
Yeah.
And you think back to Thriller Bark, like I think there's a lot of parallels here already. I mean, shadows, are dark, and this regeneration is like this black, it looks like Blackbeard's power almost, right? It's like this almost goopy black stuff. Like if you saw in the anime, I don't know if you saw the last episode, but whenever Saturn, forms out of the circle, it's like it's very weird, right? It's not like he just rises up out of the circle. He like forms from like this darkness stuff,
almost like ink.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very strange looking. And so I hope that, tying back to the shadow stuff, we saw with Moria that he could use his shadow to manipulate other objects, like to make ores stretch by like making the shadow stretch and the body follows it. So there was kind of like two layers to control there. And I hope it's kind of a similar thing, but just up a level, where it could be that, maybe it is shadow. Maybe it's because if you don't hurt the shadow specifically, then they can just regenerate. Because if you cut the shadow, it'll just reattach, and like that, maybe that's it. Or it could be like the next level, kind of like what you're saying, where maybe his body is in a separate place and he's almost astral projecting, which is kind of what Perona did. Remember how Perona, like, she had the ghost, but then even after Usopp, showed he was too negative, she went into her room and fell asleep and then kind of astral projected herself as a ghost, and Usopp had to figure out where her real body was. And that's a ghost. It's in Thriller Bark where there's zombies. Like, there's a lot of connections there. Also, her power, they're called hollows. And remember during Egghead when there was the holograms and Luffy said it in a few different cases, but he said, there's those hollow things. And he's talking about the holograms, but he brought that up a few different times in the arc. And I just feel like all of that is kind of building, I don't know if it's building Perona up specifically, but at least like the hollows or ghost angle of it. And holograms you couldn't touch unless you had a special weapon, the photonic gloves. And so that could be another angle, like going back to the sunstone thing. The photonic gloves are like light touching gloves, which light isn't supposed to be touched. And then you got sunstone, which is another light related thing. I don't know. I think there's since we had holograms in Egghead, it makes me think the Gorosei and God's Knights could be like dark holograms, like kind of like we're saying, in a remote place where like they're just projecting a version of themselves, and we have to figure it out.
I love that idea. I guess my one drawback, because I've talked about that too, but the one drawback is the Gorosei. Because back on Egghead Island, we saw Saturn teleport 4 of them, right? From the throne room. Or not throne room, but the Gorosei conference room. And we saw that they're all missing. If we saw their real bodies there still, I'd be like, okay, that's awesome. But we saw them be teleported. Maybe what was in that room was always a projection. I think that is also a way we could look at it.
Yeah.
But, go for it.
I was going to say, I think what might happen is let's say their real bodies are in Marijois, and then they get summoned through the circle or the abyss. Well, once they go through the abyss, their body goes somewhere else, and what comes out of the circle is a different thing. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And so then once it got canceled from Joyboy's hockey rope or whatever, then then everything got canceled. Then the circles are done, so now their real body, their bodies go back, but in between their bodies might have been in the underworld or wherever the abyss takes you. I'm not really sure. Because I don't know if we've seen any transformations happen without a circle first. I don't think a single one. Because remember Saturn, he summoned himself from the ship to the island, and then that's when he transformed. He brought all the the Gorosei in. And now we did see Mars go into Punk Records and de-transform and then transform back. But even then, like, he's still there because of the circle, right? Like, the circle never got canceled in between. And so, and then also, like, Shamrock came through the circle, and then he did the Cerberus thing. So that's like another example. And like, for Killingham, he has the Zone Fruit, so he can probably transform that version of himself even without the circle. But yeah, I'm thinking you gotta use the circle to transform.
Huh. One thing I just thought of too is what if they're in the abyss still? Like that's like they're literally in the abyss, because in the anime, which obviously it's hard to take anime as canon because they take a lot of liberties, but in the anime we saw that when Saturn used the abyss, he was running inside of it. Right? Like, he was literally running inside that abyss circle, which was really weird. I was always wondering, like, how it worked. Is it like a teleportation? But the minute it was activated on Egghead, you could see him, like, just crawling in his spider form. And I was like, wait, what the hell's going on here? Like, it really did feel like a different dimension, kind of like the Door no Mi or Brulee's Mirror Fruit. Mm-hmm. So that's why I do enjoy the idea that their actual bodies, or where their soul is at, exist in a different plane.
And remember how Nushjuro was able to use ice powers with his sword? That also inherently implies that he has an underworld connection, because Brook can do the same thing, right? Like, that's where he gets the chill of the underworld from. So I am thinking that the Abyss Circle, it's not just point A to point B. There's a point A2, I don't know, a midpoint between A and B. That's the underworld. So, like, you go through the circle into the underworld. That's where you leave your body, and then you send something up through the circle into the real world as like an exchange kind of thing. And then, so then for people to probably beat you, like, now that we see Scopper do this, I think it's kind of hard to piece it all together, because I was thinking maybe you have to go to the underworld and damage them there, and then and then the damage will carry over. But we just saw Scopper, hit him in this world, and it did damage. So I don't know if you need to have, if going back to the hockey thing, if you just need strong enough hockey to surpass that, or like if you just need to know that what the situation is, and so like you're targeting like his shadow, his soul, or something instead of his body. Like, I don't really know, but
yeah. How do you feel about the idea that you attack the Mark of the Abyss?
I'm 50-50, because I've seen a lot of people bring that up because, like, in the first panel, it's like his arm that has the wristband, but then in the second panel, it's the other arm that got cut off. Like, Oda kind of flipped it, like it's an error. And so it's hard for me to say which arm it was, and so I'd be much more open to it if we knew for sure, like, the mark on his body got cut, because that would make a lot of sense. But my other pushback on it is, like, you think he would make that connection right away, right? Like, Scopper would know, like, hey, if you attack the Mark of the Abyss on my body, that's what's going to hurt me. Like, they should know their weakness. And so whenever he's, like, surprised, it's like, hey, like, if that mark's on your arm and your arm's missing, there shouldn't even be, like, a question about it. Yeah. So I'm not against it, and I do think that'll work. I think cutting off the mark definitely works, but I don't know if that's what happened here.
Yeah, and then plus, people are saying that the tattoo we saw on Sommers was the Mark of the Abyss, but that is a big leap already. And it's also a big tattoo, right? Are we saying that every god knight has the same sleeve tattoo that Sommers has? I think that'd be a little bit crazy. And then plus, like, since it's his whole arm, only his forearm here got cut off, right? So that wouldn't even make sense. So I'm pretty hesitant on that theory still.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the government can put tattoos wherever they feel like, I guess. They're the world government. But I'm just thinking, we've seen all other tattoos be put, like, on people's, like, torso or back. And, like, you think about the Celestial Dragon symbol and the Sun Pirate symbol, because they're obviously connected. Like, it would make sense. If the mark is a weakness for you, it would make sense to put the mark on your chest or back, because, like, if somebody hits those, you're probably cooked anyway. Like, if you put it on an extremity, like, you're just asking for trouble. You know what I mean? Like, it's just silly to do that.
I put the Mark of the Abyss on my toes. It's like, okay, if your toes get cut off, then you're cooked, right? I'd rather put it on my neck, because at least if they cut your neck, it's like...
Exactly.
You're going to be dead anyways.
if you put it on your back or your shirt, or your shirt, your like your back or your chest, then you can wear a shirt and hide the mark, and then they don't know where it is or that it even exists. But if you put it on your arm, as we saw with Summers, you come out in a wife beater, then they can see it, and then they know where it's at, and they even start asking questions. Like you don't want people to know that the mark exists, right?
Yeah, and it'd be crazy that you put it on your hand out of all places. Like if I had to hide a mark somewhere, I'd probably do it like my armpit or something, you know?
And maybe this will make a cool plot line where like Summers already had tattoos, and like maybe he has another one on his back that like they couldn't do it, and maybe there is a reason why he put it on his arm, but generally I feel like that would be a silly mistake for the government.
Yeah, super silly. Super silly.
One other thing I did want to bring up, though, about what could be getting past this regeneration stuff, and this is my favorite answer, but I think it's also kind of unlikely. But what do you think about life return? Because we haven't seen that be used in a long time. And that's like a power that's just been floating around in the background, and it's about, well, for Lao Ji, which he used like Qigong, but it's basically the same thing where, he brought energy back from his youth to like bulk up in a certain time. Yeah. And it just makes me wonder, like, if you're able to do that with your own body, maybe mastering it to the highest level lets you affect other people's like vitality or life. You know what I'm saying? Like you can affect other people's bodily functions or whatever. And then maybe that's what lets you do damage to them permanently, because it's like deeper than just a casual slash. You're like actually affecting like their
life return.
Internal biology in some level. Like I don't know exactly how that would work, but I'm more so saying that like maybe the transformation in the circles can be tied to that. But I was more so thinking just for Scopper, like he has to know like once you get good enough at life return. Like how Kumadori was controlling his hair and all that stuff. Yeah. Maybe if you get good enough, you can kind of affect, what other people's bodies are doing. And that's how you stop their body from regenerating. Is because like, hey, like, again, I don't know the mechanism behind this because life return has not been explained that much. But, instead of Kumadori controlling his hair, you go in and tell Summer's body, hey, don't regenerate. Like, stay, act normal. And
that would be insane, considering the fact that Kumadori, like the only hint at life return we've gotten is Kumadori's backstory, where he trained on a mountain or a rock for like 1,000 or 100 years or something.
Yeah,
it was something ridiculous.
I can't remember, but we did get a comment from Chopper also, which by the way, Chopper and Scopper I think have a connection. Like not that they're like related, obviously, because Chopper's a reindeer, but I do think Chopper was named Chopper because he has horns that can cut down a tree. Scopper is known, he's called the Mountain Eater, he's known for cutting down trees. There's a theory that maybe what he did was at Drum Island, where, there's like all those, probably tree stumps, we don't really know that, but because they're covered in snow, but mountain tops, that's what they look like. It's like maybe that was him. So I think they might have a connection, but Chopper is the one who fought Kumadori, and during that fight, he was like, oh, this reminds me of biofeedback. And that's the only comment he's ever had about it. We don't know anything more than that line. But it does imply that Chopper has heard of this before. Like, he's heard of Kumadori's power. He called it biofeedback. Kumadori called it life return, a semi-Kikon. Lucci also used it whenever he transformed. So, like, Cypherpole knows about it, but so does Chopper. And I'm just thinking, all right, now we have Scopper and the Gods Knights. It's like, if there was a time to maybe expand on it, maybe it's now, because maybe Scopper can say, oh, I learned this originally, if it is life return, maybe from Kureha. Maybe when Roger was healing back then, maybe he heard about it and that's where it started or something.
That's good. No, I enjoy that idea a lot. And I kind of wonder if Chopper is going to be the one who figures it out even. Like, before Scopper even says anything, Chopper's like inside of Saul's beard just doing that stupid brain point again. That'd be kind of cool.
That is actually really smart.
Because he's observing, right? Robin literally said, she said, hey, until we know what they do and their powers, don't leave, Chopper. So,
and maybe Chopper, he'll jump out and Robin will be like, wait, I told you not to. And then Chopper, of all people, right? The person that Usopp probably needs to power up the most, but Chopper's probably second, or at least like a feat, like a physical, a fight moment.
Yeah.
If he comes out and hits Scopper was or Summers was something, or even like says, "Oh, Scopper used this," like he's able to tell. That would be really cool. I didn't think about that because he could do brain point maybe on like that missing arm, and he could tell because he'd be the one too from fighting Kumadori who might be able to tell that that's what was used. So I really like that.
Yeah, which is funny to think about, but all the Straw Hats are currently observing this fight, right? We have Jinbei, Brook, Nami, Usopp, Chopper, Robin. Like, they're all going to witness what the hell Scopper's doing, and one of them has to have, like, the proper deduction of, like, okay, this is what's going on. And if I had to put my money on somebody, I think I would put on Chopper. Yeah,
I agree. And, it's funny that you brought that up, because I did want to ask you about this. Chopper noticing it makes sense because all the strongest people on the crew are not around, right? Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Loki, even though he's still chained up and kind of evil, but he also might help because he didn't like the Gods Knights either. But all the people that might actually be able to fight back and go to toe with these guys, even though we don't know how the regeneration works yet, but generally, they're all not here getting to witness this. And so now the weaker part of the crew is all going to be here, and they're learning about the Gods Knights. They're seeing how they get hurt. Scopper might explain it. But then our strongest part of the crew is not there to witness it and hear all that. And so I guess what are your thoughts on like what Oda's planning with the separation? Like, why are the strong people not there?
I think Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji aren't here to give these weaker Straw Hats their time to shine, which I really enjoy. I think we've talked about it before about how there's just so many Straw Hats and not enough focus to go around. Like on Egghead, we tend to not focus on Brook. We don't focus on Jinbei. We don't focus on Usopp. I mean, hell, if you told me Chopper was in Egghead Island, I probably wouldn't believe you. You're like, remember Chopper and Egghead? I'm like, no, what did he do again?
He blocked one attack from Saturn. That is all I remember.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like a proper block. It wasn't like a giant, double page spread, Chopper's blocking Saturn. No. There's like one panel where Saturn is stepping on Chopper, and that's it. We're like, yeah, he blocked him, guys. He survived. He didn't die.
Which, I gotta say real quick, remember how we saw Saturn's like poison melt a tree? Like instantly, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like he showed how poisonous and like dangerous it was, and then Chopper just blocks it with guard point. I'm like, all right, what's the point of even making these guys seem daunting and showing us the tree melt if Chopper just gets to block it? Like, it's not even like he used like a shield to block it. Like not another object, maybe an object that wouldn't melt as easily. Yeah, just his body. He just he just tanked it. I don't know.
That was an absurd showing. Kudos to Chopper for getting a Saturn feat, but it just came at the expense of Saturn.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Or maybe have Brook block the attack, because, like, he's made of bone, and maybe he doesn't, dissolve. Like, I just thought it was, like, the worst combination to have Chopper, this guy, just a furry fuzzball, block this attack. I'm like, he'd be melting. He'd be in agonizing pain.
Yeah,
right now.
I'd rather have Chopper... just a cooler showing, but I'd rather have Chopper, like, grab the tentacle or maybe try to punch it away. But instead, he just gets hit by it, and he just takes 0 damage.
It makes no sense.
The chapter after we see it melt a tree, just by being near it. Cool.
Yeah. Because after I saw that, I'm like, oh, cool, now the crew can't touch those things. Like, maybe that's what Oda's going for, and that'll make Saturn harder to fight, because we're dodging all the time. Nope, immediate just tank. I'm like, oh, well, never mind. I'm not worried about the poison anymore, I guess.
Don't you just love how the poison did 0, though? Like, they introduced the poison, and then in the very next page, we see Luffy and Sanji dodging all of the attacks. The poison legs of Saturn did bupkis on the island. It's literally damaged nobody. Wow.
Imu did the right thing by firing Saturn. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, that was
your smartest move in 800 years.
Crazily bad showing, man.
But back to the separation of the crew thing. Sorry, I got us off on a tangent
I love it.
there. The anti-Chopper agenda. Even though I actually love Chopper. Like, Drum Island, when we get that in the live action, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna cry. Like, the Chopper's backstory is so good, and if they do it right in the live action, it's gonna be amazing. And I think
it depends. It depends on the CGI Chopper and how good it is.
I trust him. I trust him. I mean, we saw the back of Chopper already, right? And I mean, it looked like kind of like Sonic from the his movies. So I feel confident if that's what they go with. I mean, the good Sonic, not the original
good
Sonic.
Yeah, not the first version.
No, not that one.
We haven't seen his face yet, though. For all we know, it could be like first version Sonic.
Yeah. So, which, hey, to the Sonic team's credit, they took the the feedback and adjusted, and good on them because the Sonic movies are really good. But anyway, about the splitting of the crew, I guess I'm curious what you think. Like what are the strong people with Loki gonna do? Like, are they just over there chilling? Like, is Oda just separating them so that they don't, for what you said, so the weak people of the crew can kind of get stronger or get some focus? Or is there like an actual reason that Oda needs them over there? Like, is something gonna happen to them? Is somebody gonna pull up? I mean, I assume that Loki's gonna get freed at some point. That's part of what needs to happen. Or are they gonna maybe leave Loki there for a little bit and not come back till later, right? Like maybe they'll leave the last shackle on, and then maybe somebody else will come by and free him, and then that'll let Loki. Cause remember how he said, "Whoever frees me, I'll delete any crew of their choice."
Yeah.
Like, because I've thought for a while the crew might not free Loki all the way, but Kid will. And Kid will tell them to go defeat the Straw Hats or the Red Hair Pirates. Either or, I think, is a good bet. And then that makes an interesting plot line where Kid and Loki team up. And that makes Kid way more threatening. So I don't know. What do you think?
When it comes to Loki and the Monster Trio, I think they're just going to stay out of this arc. They have no idea this is going on, right? The announcement that good old... It's kind of funny, like good old Saint Somers is putting on, like I don't think it's reaching the underworld. We have no real inclination to that, so the Straw Hats down there, they're none the wiser. And with that being the case, I feel like they're just going to simply get the Loki backstory down there. It looks like Loki's kind of spilling his heart. He looked at Hart and he's like, hey, you don't really believe I killed our old man, did you? Or for no reason, did you? And it's like, okay, like I feel like we're going to go into full-on backstory with Loki. Maybe that's going to coincide with what's happening up top. Like maybe Scopper will ask what the hell's going on, and they mention King Harold, and then Loki talks about King Harold, and it all just coincides at once. That's what I see happening right now. Maybe if we need the Monster Tree, if we need them to come up, it will be because Ronya or another kid falls down. Right? Because I thought about it. It's like, yeah, like if they fall down, they're literally just going to fall into Loki and them, right? Like, I could easily see a scenario where a kid is screaming, they're falling down, they're like, I'm gonna die, and then Luffy's like, oh, hey, what's up? Yeah, just go into Gear 5th, pick him up, and that's pretty much it.
So I just thought of something. Is it... What... Do we know, like... I'm trying to think how to ask this question. You remember that branch we saw that had, like, a lightning strike that broke part of it?
Yeah.
Do we know where that is in relation to the branch the kids are on? It's not the same branch, is it? Or is it the same one?
It's not the same branch, no.
Are they near each other?
I don't believe so. Because Frankie right now is pretty far from branch 8. And Frankie was the last one who saw it. Because
I've been thinking about that where, like, just trying to think... I'm mainly trying to get some reasons to think, are the kids right above Loki? Because that would be really cool if the kids fall, which, honestly, there's snow everywhere. If the kids fall, we were talking earlier about how it's One Piece, so they're not going to die. Even an in-world reason is like, dude, there's so much snow down there. I mean, I know there's giant animals, so they're probably worried about the kids facing those. But, like, they won't probably die from the fall. But anyway, if they do fall, with Loki and all that, that's really interesting. And I was thinking that branch that we saw that got hit with, like, lightning or whatever.
Yeah.
I was wondering, could that be right above where Loki is because he might have brought the lightning strike down from using Ragnir one time or something, kind of like we just saw, where he hit the tree and, stuff got real crazy. But I don't know if we have enough evidence to, actually reason they're above Loki and them, but that would be a cool way to kind of combine the plot lines, because imagine, like, Ronya falls down and Luffy's like, what? Who are you?
What's happening
what?
up there?
It'd probably be Colin that would fall, so that way Colin and Luffy meet up. But
yeah, or maybe Colin and Ronya. That's a fun idea. Like maybe Ronya falls and then Colin jumps after her.
I could see that.
And then Luffy saves both of them.
Or I could also just see all the kids falling, and then all of Elbaph thinks the kids are done, and they're like, wow, like they're distraught. And then Luffy comes in, is like, oh, I saved all the kids. And then Elbaph's like, wait, like you are the sun god, you know, like you are our hero, right?
Ooh, yeah. Luffy becomes like a giant, you know, he like when he fought Kaido, and all the kids are like playing in his hair or something, just something stupid. Yeah, like Luffy's head is what caught him, and they're just floating back up to the sun realm.
I actually really like that idea that they fall, Luffy saves them, Elbaph is, and the God's Knights also probably believe the kids are dead. You know what I mean? Like they probably don't think anything more of it. And then Luffy comes in with all the kids saved in Gear 5th, and then the God's Knights are like, okay, like this is some BS. Like this is the Nika BS that Imu warned us about. Like,
yeah,
our plans don't work. He just comes out of nowhere. You know, like. Because I think they already mentioned, or Gunko said, like they were worried that Luffy was on the island. Like, not, like, freaking out worried, but I think they said, like, Emperor Straw Hat Luffy's here, let's not, you know, we don't want to fight
let's not poke the bear. In regards to Sommers, did you see him hit the Sun God Nika dance in this chapter?
No, I didn't.
He doesn't, like, hit it exactly, but he's, like, doing a half Nika. It's half cocked. He's just missing one arm.
Let me go look at this.
It's in the panel where Robin is wrapped up. Sommers is like in the background celebrating. He's got his leg up high, leg down below, arms kind of like this. He's just missing like one arm in the back, and then he's got a full Nika going on, dude. He's got like a full Skypiea Luffy going on back there. It's kind of funny. I love the personality that he's showing here. And, you know, Oda, he loves that pose. So I think he's kind of cooking with it. I think there could be maybe a parallel. Like maybe that's how Imu dances. That's where they got it from. Or maybe they're just really festive up in the Holy Land. We just don't see it.
Yeah, that's interesting. It would be kind of funny, or like, I don't know, like, if the government did do the dance, but maybe like they didn't know, because it's just a happy dance, right? Obviously, it is tied to Nika, but it's just like a joyous, like even if you're a bad guy, you have joyous moments when you're doing bad stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it would be kind of ironic if they all started doing it, and like Imu was like, "Hey, that's like we're not supposed to do that," and it just kind of goes to show that like, you know, everyone's happy and free in their own way, and love being free. It's just like your definition of it, right? Because like Imu doesn't like when everyone else is free, but Imu doesn't mind Imu doesn't want, you know, the people they don't want to be free.
Yeah, we don't know Imu's reasoning yet either. Like, imagine we get to Imu, right? We get that Imu backstory, and there's like a solid reasoning as to why he doesn't want them to be free. Like, oh, like, you know, we were all free 900 years ago, and look at where we ended up. Or like, war came out of this. Like, if we just let everybody do what they want, like, we end up with like crazy amount of casualties in the end. It's not worth it. Like, I wonder if there's gonna be logic behind the madness, and I think there will be too. Not everybody likes a sympathetic villain, but I mean, in reality, most villains have a reason, at least.
Yep.
So for Imu, somebody who rules the world government, yeah, I think they got a reason.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think Oda's going to make the government feel very justified for taking over originally. And now, like, obviously all the, you know, atrocities that has happened since, I'm sure that'll be much harder to forgive. And that might be part of the lesson that Oda's sharing is, like, you know, power corrupts. Like, the longer and more power you have, the worse you get, kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
I think he's gonna show that a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, when there is like a group trying to overtake the status quo, their reasoning isn't all that bad, right? Like, they usually have a good reason for wanting to stop things that are going on. But then it's just, once you get in there, then it's kind of like, well, now you have that responsibility, and like over time you're gonna get corrupted and everything. But I think originally we're gonna have a really good reason for Imu taking over. Like, I think we are gonna almost feel bad for Imu, and I know that sounds crazy, but I think we are gonna really be conflicted about Imu's past. Personally,
I 100% agree, and it kind of goes back to what Vegapunk said, right? Like, hey, I don't know their reasoning, I don't know them exactly. I can't really judge their actions, so I think that's very telling. And then even with Frankie's reaction to Shaka's theory, his reaction was, oh, that's romantic, like that's a romantic tale. And we don't know who they were talking about, right? Were they talking about Joyboy? Were they talking about Imu, the 20 Kingdoms? All we know is that it was about the Void Century. So I think there is a reality where Imu's going to be really sympathetic. Or will feel really sympathetic.
I totally agree. And my, like, very brief version of my theory on this is that going back to the first world, second world, third world stuff, I'm thinking the first world is the pre-world government era, and then the second world is the Void Century, and then the third world is everything post-Void Century. That's kind of my breakdown of it. And I think that the first world is telling us that, somebody other than Imu, I think like a Blackbeard ancestor would make the most sense here. But let's say like a past Blackbeard was the ruler back then. They were really bad and maybe got on the cusp of getting like unstoppable power with the Forbidden Sun and all that. And maybe like the world was like really cooked. So then maybe Imu had to have a 100-year war because maybe a lot of the people were hypnotized by this past leader. Maybe it was just a propaganda thing. But for one reason or another, I think those people in the Void Century maybe wanted to keep the status quo, even though it shouldn't have been that way. And then Imu has maybe used an iron fist to kind of keep that status quo because, like, hey, the person before me was way worse. I'm not letting someone like that get in charge ever again because, like, Earth is too important, humanity's important, whatever.
Yeah.
We're gonna feel. I think Imu is gonna be like a sad figure by the end, like not like a power hungry evil. I mean, they are evil. But by the end, I think we're going to feel like, man, Imu, I don't know what I would have done if I was in Imu's shoes.
Yeah. Like, that'd be really cool if, like, we get the Leloucia thing and we get, like, other countries he's had to destroy. And then we see his reasoning, which there doesn't have to be a reason behind every single killing. What if there was, What if he was like, oh, like, I don't want to do this, but to respect the sacrifices made 900 years ago, I have to do this, right? Like, I can't let all that blood be spilled for no reason.
Yeah.
In a weird way, what the 20 Kingdoms did to Joyboy and the Ancient Kingdom, it could be seen as like Dragon and the Revolutionaries, what they're trying to do now. Like, after Dragon and the Revs defeat the world government, we need somebody to take the place of the world government, right? There can't just be like an unregulated, unlawful world out there. Somebody has to be that judge and jury and that arbiter of justice. So if it ends up being the Revs and they take over, it's like, okay, like, they might be fine today, they might be fine tomorrow, but 900 years from now, what will they look like? Mm-hmm. Like, will they still be the same Revs that we know and love today, or will they be an entirely different group?
That it might literally be the focus of my next video. That's something that I've been like thinking about for a while, and I've had like the base script of it, and I feel like that's like Dragon has 8 rebelling countries, well 7 now. Excuse me, because of Leloucia. Although Leloucia, a lot of them ended up living and went to Kamabaka, so he kind of has Leloucia anyway. But he had those 8 rebelling countries, and you think about how the 20 kings had 20 different alliances, right? That ended up working against the world government, or the Ancient Kingdom, I should say. So that's like literally the same setup. It's just Dragon only has 8 instead of 20. And then, so going back to paralleling with the Void Century, like we know there's a giant war, and, presumably a lot of people died, if not like most of the world or whatever. And think about it from Dragon's perspective. Like, if Dragon was to overtake the government, what would he have to do? Him and his 8 countries would literally have to go to war, not just with the government, but with all the allied people with the government as well, right? Because unless they decide not to, which maybe that's what'll happen, because that's what Dragon's been hoping for, is that the other kingdoms just say, screw it. But in general, it would be world government and allied nations versus Dragon and allied nations. That is literally what the past was, right? If Imu wanted to take over the Ancient Kingdom, it had to be, hey, me and my alliance of all these different kingdoms versus your government and your allies, which would be the rest of the world, right? Like, Emu would have been at war with the rest of the world just to take out the government, which, you know, they wouldn't have been called the world government back then, but the ancient kingdom, whoever the person was, whatever. So I think it's going to be a very conflicting backstory.
Like, I don't think people realize. I mean, I bet a lot of people do, but it's insane to think about 20 different kingdoms, 20 different populaces with different cultures, different, you know, pretty much history coming together to take down one group. Like, you've got to be like out there for them to like hold hands, sing kumbaya, and slap you down. So I don't think the Ancient Kingdom, like the Ancient Kingdom might be good, but it could be like one of those things where it's like they're only good for themselves and not for the rest of the world. Maybe they're like, you know, society came at the expense of all the other societies. That's kind of how I view it.
Yeah, because remember the kind of context of the mural with like the line about a kid's dream was in relation to like all the people cooperating. Remember, it was like, oh, this kind of cooperation was unheard of, and Ripley's like, yeah, that's why I think it's a kid's dream. Like that was the part that she said what was dream worthy, was like seeing everyone work together like that, because that's so hard to imagine. And it is kind of funny to think about that in the reverse way, where like the 20 kingdoms, they're probably the same way. I mean, I doubt that they had like probably like the Fishmen or the Buccaneers, you know, aligned with them, but they obviously had a bunch of different places and cultures and everything working together. And so yeah, I think, I don't know, the backstory is going to be crazy whenever we get to it.
It's going to absolutely slap.
Yeah.
So
number one,
when it comes to Sommers, do you think he feels pain? Because after he gets his arm cut off, he's kind of confused, but he's not like hurt, right? It could be like one of those delayed effects where maybe next chapter he's gonna be like, you know, my arm, my chest, this hurts. But as it stands right now, he does feel very zombie-like. Like, he's not really screaming about the damage. He's not saying, ooh, you know, like we don't see his facial expression being pained. He's kind of just getting hit.
That's a good question. It's weird because, like, you know, you go back to when or Robin did the clutch move on him, and he like you know screams. It says GOEH, Goa. I don't know, whatever. It's definitely like a pain. It's a pain sound, you know. But at the same time, that's like the only thing he does.
Yeah.
That's like any damage related, and like you know, I'm not experienced enough to say, but you know, your arm getting cut off and your back getting cracked, I would imagine those are both near like the top levels of pain that any human could tolerate. So I guess he does say "yeah" whenever he gets his arm cut off, but then afterward he's just looking at it like, what? So I don't know, man. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of characters in One Piece that I feel like get hurt, and that's all they do is just have like a little yelp, and then that's it. And so I feel like I would say the Scopper attacks are doing damage, or hurting him, but I'm not sure if the other ones do. I don't know, man. What about you? What do you think?
I'm not too sure. I like the idea, because somebody brought this up. I didn't notice it myself. Well, maybe I did. I forgot it. You know, too many videos, too many live streams. I get things mixed up. But I remember seeing this, and I was like, like, what's going on here? And it reminds me of, are you caught up to the anime?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen the last episode.
Oh, no, that's perfect. It's in Wano. But do you remember when Hawkins got his arm cut off? And we had like a full 1 minute screech where he grabs his arm. He's like, you did that? Like, he was breaking. That's what lost him the fight. Hawkins got his arm cut off, and he was done. So Sommers just casually getting it sliced and chilling is kind of funny to me. Just like the stark contrast between Basil Hawkins and Saint Sommers here. Which, shout out to Hawkins. I love that guy, but man, he's such a bum.
Oh, yeah. Oh, probably the most
Such a
disappointing
bum.
supernova, I would say.
And it's
I mean,
disappointing because he's so cool.
He had a lot of potential with the tarot cards, but then that just barely ended up being anything.
He just kept on getting bad draws.
It. Yeah, and Hawkins is it's one thing for them to die, or maybe he's still alive or whatever because it's One Piece, but I just feel like the way he went out was so weak, like where he, like the whole alliance thing that didn't pan out with Kid, and then this, I don't know.
And then the 1%
he seems like
man.
such a weak character,
The 1% man was so funny, dude. Actually, Drake, the 1% was me. I wasn't going to live. Man, I hope he comes back, dude. Please, Hawkins, not like this.
There were so many theories on that were like so much more compelling than what it ended up being. You know what I mean? Like it was just it was almost funny. Like, man, I was really hoping you were gonna say something cool. Like tell me like Luffy or like even if you said like I don't know. Luffy was or maybe Luffy got to 0 after he, died, because he did die, and like maybe there could be a cool spiel on that, right? Where it's like, wow, I've never seen my cards say this would happen, and then the opposite did, or whatever. But nope, it's just him. Like, so many other potential things that could have come out of it.
So many, dude. So many. I think that's why I love it so much, though. Just, he was the one... Like, it makes sense for Luffy, because Luffy was always, like, the 1% survival guy. So they could have easily just given that to Luffy, but they give it to Hawkins instead.
Makes no sense, man.
Makes no sense.
There's a lot of things in Wano that don't make sense, like Zunisha pulling up and being in prime position to spit water onto Onigashima to put out the fire, and instead we have Raizo do it after he had this long Hokage battle that he should just be done for. Like he should not be moving at this point. But not only does he have the water, it's water from Zunisha. Like that. Like Oda, I love you, man. I love One Piece. No, there's very few things you can do to ever make me say anything different, and this surely would not be one of them because it's pretty inconsequential. But I just gotta say, Oda, like, how did nobody in the editor's room stand up and just be like, "Hey, Zunisha's right there. We don't have to do this."
Zunisha, Oda, please.
And also, I'd be like, "Hey, and Oda, I get that Fireman Jinbei is a thing that can happen because he has water powers. We don't have to do it every arc, because remember how we did it there to put out the fire in Onigashima, and then we just did it in Elbaph to put out the fire there. It's like, hey, Oda, you could have had Zunisha do it, so then Zunisha had a reason to be there, because Zunisha did not have a reason to be there. Zunisha came because Zunisha, it was thought that the walls were going to fall down. I don't know if Momo talked to Zunisha about this. That's still confusing to me on how Zunisha knew to pull up at that time. But that was the thought, but that never ended up happening. So if you had Zunisha spit the water, that's like, okay, cool. Zunisha had a role in the arc. That's cool. Zunisha was just a hype man. And you could have saved Fireman Jinbei for this arc where we actually have firemen, and it would have been more fresh. So I don't know. Again, Oda, I love you. Minor critique, but that is...
It's so freaking funny, dude. They made
it's
Jinbei
almost
a repeat
unforgivable
offender.
how silly it is. Like...
I just love the memes now that Jinbei's just gonna be a constant firefighter. Like if there's ever a fire in the future, just rely on Jinbei at that point. Like that's the only reason we have him. Like I love Jinbei, but I feel like he's just like a token fishman, man. Like even in the color spreads, you got the Straw Hats all racing, and then Jinbei swimming in the water.
Yep.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a like an anime filler arc where Jinbei doesn't even sail on the ship. He's just swimming alongside it.
Yeah, Jinbei had a cover story dedicated to him, and I just feel like, I don't know, like, hey, Jinbei, maybe mention to Robin that you found a poneglyph. Like, there's stuff that we can do for Jinbei that is not, hey, he's a fishman, let's have him do fishman things. Like, we can have him do, like, lore things, in the story that matter. Like, I don't know. And I love Jinbei, like, his personality. I love the fishman. I love all that. But it does concern me that we've had Fireman Jinbei twice already. It's like, Oda, there's way
twice in
there's
30
way
arcs.
more. Jinbei's got way more potential, man.
Yeah.
Like way more.
What's really funny about this is that while I say that I don't want like constant Jinbei Fishman flexes, I would really laugh and enjoy just a single page or panel or even a cover page thing or filler episode where Jinbei goes inside the Thousand Sunny and he looks at the fish tank and he just puts his hand on the glass like, brethren, I'll save you.
Honestly, yeah. Like that's the, like, Jinbei is a fishman. Oda's gonna have him do fishman things, kind of like how Frankie's a cyborg and he does cyborg things. Chopper's a reindeer and he does reindeer things. Like, I get it, but it's like you gotta, like, that thing you're talking about. Oda could make that, yes, a fishman thing, but also a Jinbei thing, where, because he's a kind, like, respectful guy, he could go there and talk to the fish and explain what's happening, or maybe like have like some kind of truce with the crew to be like, hey, let's only eat like these specific ones, or I don't know, like something like that would be cool, because it would just build on his personality, like outside of him being a fishman, where he's respectful. But like, I don't know, man. The Fireman Jinbei stuff, like the fact it was Raizo with the water from Zunisha, it's like, okay, you could have had Jinbei and Zunisha work together, and that might have worked as well, because that would be cool. But like, Raizo was just unnecessary. Like, how does that even happen? You know,
it's so funny, dude. Like I said, I laugh at that all the time, just thinking back. I love Wano, but you gotta admit, Wano, it had some really silly moments.
Yes, it's one of those arcs that's like, it's definitely good, but it could have been way better than it was, with the amount of stuff that was set up and then just kind of, I don't know, haphazardly thrown together. But overall, I mean, it was great. Like, it got so many people into the series. Gear 5 was a big thing. Kaido's awesome. But, speaking of Raizo, we did see him last chapter. Not in 1147, but the chapter before that, which I was very surprised by.
Oh, yeah. They should have coincided that with Jinbei's firefighter feat. That would have been so cool. God.
Oh, wait, Raizo was in this chapter, too.
Wait, really?
We met him last chapter, but he was in the background in this one. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Which, hey, you know what? Hats off to Raizo for being, what is he, the daimyo of Udon? Hey.
Yeah, they're getting promotions, man.
Hey, hats off to him, man. I mean, a little bit of nepotism. I'm gonna be honest about it, but
definitely nepotism.
But that's what Wano's all about. Sadly, that's like their. I hate to say it, but that's their kind of their history.
It's their bread and butter, man.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, go for it.
I was gonna say, well, the Kurozumi weren't much better, because obviously Orochi took over, and then like Tama's family were Kurozumis and they died. So it's not like. I mean, I'll take nepotism if it works over non-nepotism that doesn't work. But
yeah.
Regardless,
I was just gonna say that Yamato is on her way to Hakumai to visit Kawamatsu, and goddamn well that Kawamatsu is gonna be the daimyo of Hakumai. Another
100%.
Another scabbard getting a promotion, which is expected.
Hey. I mean, look, like I said, man. It's nepotism. All the people that were friends with Odin get the the cabinet positions here. But I mean, I am happy that we're moving on in the cover story. I'll say that much. That we're like getting to like the next area, because I feel like we took 33 chapters to get past like our first area, right? Because it wasn't this the first one that the Who's Who situation? Because we were traveling for a little bit, got like the sword taken and stuff, but I don't think we actually went to a specific area until the Who's Who thing. So at least we're moving on.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Yamato go to Kibi, Kuri, Amigasa. We're currently in Udon. We're at the 4th stop. But I get what you mean. Like, this is the first big event that's happened.
But I guess, but like, yeah, so Kuri, that's where we started, but like, Amigasa Village is in Kuri, so it's like, that was, right, it's like the first time we actually went and did something in a new area, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'm trying to figure it out, because It's
we started
crazy,
at
but
the flower
we've
capital.
we started at the flower capital, and I think the first place we went to was Curry/Amigasa Village, which is like,
I believe it was Kibi. I think Yamato's like genuinely going in a full loop. So we actually spent a chapter in Kibi.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because so literally we've been in here for 15 chapters. Udon. We've been in Udon forever. I'm trying to figure it out as we speak here.
Yeah, I'm looking. Okay,
no cover page on that one.
I have all of the chapter titles for Yamato's cover page right here. The first one is Onigashima Sinks. The second one is I Want to Travel Throughout Wano like Odin did. 3, you can have that parting gift, Yamato, as long as you do something for me, which is Kinemon telling her about the traveling. 4, go to enshrine this sword at Hakumai's Emma Shrine in Yasui. Oh! Hakumai is where she's going to drop off Yasui's blade. So it's literally going to be in the next chapter. I thought it was Ringo for some reason. I got that mixed up.
Yeah, and I think I'm almost back to where you're at with the cover. Or hold on.
Yeah, 9
on the way
is
to
when
Curry.
she's at Kibi.
Got it. So, because part of the confusion for me was Yamato stopped in Curry for like a chapter and just met Inuyasha, who's the daimyo of Curry.
Yeah, she stopped in Curry for 2 chapters to see the missing women and then to see Inuarashi.
Yeah, and we also saw that Denjiro's the daimyo of Kibi. And so...
Yes.
Okay, that's right. So we started in Kibi and then went over to Amigasa Village / Curry. Okay, I'm trying to figure it all out. Yeah, because we go to Kibi and Yamato gets hit by rocks from some kids that are throwing him. And then we see Denjiro as the daimyo of Kibi, and that's all we see there.
Wow, it took... What? No, it took around 15 cover pages to resolve the Who's Who issue?
Yes.
That's insane.
Okay.
So, cover page 17 is when the sword gets stolen. We're on 33 right now.
That's what I was saying, is like, this is
What?
like... I forgot we even visited these areas because it's like we barely do anything, but this is the first area that we actually did something at, right? Cause literally Yamato finds these kids. The kids are throwing stones because of the Kaido stuff, right? The Oni stuff. Denjiro captures them. Then they eat, and that's all of Kibi. And then we go to Curry. That's where the kidnapping happens. Or like they hear about because the carpenter's missing and stuff. So that's like really where the Who's Who thing starts. But then we also, we're in Curry, we get some food, we meet Inuyasha, and then I think that's where the sword gets taken.
Yeah. Look at how...
then we get the training, but then...
Yeah, look at how drawn out this kind of is. Sword gets stolen during nap time, 17. 18, let's go after the sword thief. 19, Udon Castle undergoing reconstruction. 20, Hold'em attacks. 21, I'm different now, which is when Tama attacks Hold'em. 22, a mysterious base deep in Udon. 23, infiltrate the sketchy hideout. 24, it was Who's Who all along. 25, the rebellious duo. 26, Ulti and Page 1. 27, Tears of Anger from Ulti. 28, give back the sword and the girls. 29, you meet Minatomo. 30, Pei-Pei's still alive. 31, I'll never forgive the debt. I'll be your follower. 32, thank you, Raizo. And 33, to Hakumai. Like, we spent some time here, brother. 15 weeks,
it's
man.
Crazy.
That's months, brother.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Months.
It's crazy how whenever it started, Yamato was in the flower capital for 9 chapters or something. Like, it took forever for Yamato to leave. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was
I'm gonna
8
go back
chapters.
try to find it. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah.
Which one?
Man, there's got to be payoff. We've talked the Yamato cover page stories to death, and we have high expectations. Like, even right now, I think we're still on the same boat where, like, okay, Blackbeard, Cross Guild, Ancient Weapon, third party, like, we have
Big
so
Mom Kaido
many different...
coming back.
Big Mom Kaido, the rest of the Tobi Roppo, like, we believe in Wano. And I think that is why, it's kind of like what we talked about earlier, and this is the recurring theme, by the way. That is why we're so critical about these cover pages, because we want the best out of him. We believe in Oda so much so that, we scrutinize all these little details.
Yeah, and we've come to, expect a lot from the cover stories. At least I have. Like, they're not always like, not everyone will see someone go to the moon or will see Jinbei find a poneglyph, but generally, like, they help carry the story forward, right? Like, they make it so the villains or other characters, side characters, can have a role in the meantime and then get put in a spot where they can rejoin the story later, right? Like, Oda likes moving them a little bit so it's not just, like, for instance, whenever we beat Crocodile, there's a cover story about him trying to get freed and stuff, and then eventually going to Impel Down, and then whenever we go there, it's like there's like some context, even though we could have presumed that. And so he does that a lot. And so yeah, even though it took 8 chapters for Yamato just to leave the Flower Capital, and it took 15 just to get past the Udon situation, I still have high hopes.
Yeah, I believe it, man. I'm still a psychopath, and I believe that Yamato will join the Straw Hats eventually.
I agree with you.
Just like how, we talked about this last video, which is funny, but, just like how Odin joined Roger at the very end, like, in the final quarter, I think Yamato's going to join as well. Which brings me to the next topic, which is Conqueror's Haki.
Okay.
Do you think Scopper has it?
Absolutely. But I have one thing to say real quick because I do have a lot more to say. But there's one thing I wanted to say about Yamato before we move forward, because this was on my mind and I just found what I was looking for. So we've been to the Flower Capital, we've been to Udon, we've been to Curry, we've been to Kibi, we're going to Hakumai. The only place that we haven't gone to is Ringo, which is the snowy place with like the graves and stuff, right? With like all the swords and whatever. Do you think we're gonna go there? Do you think there's I mean, you would think if Yamato's gonna go to every place, but maybe that's where we find Big Mom and Kaido. Maybe we go to Hakumai, deliver the sword, have a cool moment there. Maybe some like Yasu stuff, because I think Yasu was tied to Hakumai, if I remember correctly. I want to say, and then maybe Ringo's where it ends.
I think Ringo would be really cool to stop by. One, I think she will do it because that's how you'll probably get back to the Flower Capital. You have to do that full trip. Yamato also said they wanted to go all around Wano, so excluding Ringo would be strange. But 3, the main reason why I would like it is because Ushimaru Shimotsuki was the daimyo of Ringo, and he was pivotal in shaping Yamato's early childhood. So I would love if she went there to pay respects to him.
That's a great call, and that just makes so much sense. I feel like because Oda we go to Hakumai, like I said, that's where Yasu is from, so we definitely need to get a little Yasu love somewhere here in this cover story if we're going to give love to all these, Wano figures. I mean, we haven't really... Yeah, I mean, we saw all of them. Like, we're seeing all the old scabbards, we're even seeing the gifters. It would make sense to kind of go to Yasu, I feel like, and just... I don't know if he has, he does have a grave, right? I think we saw it, didn't we, with... Zoro at the end in the anime.
Yeah, he has a grave.
Which I don't think that was in Hakumai.
No, it seemed like he did that near Amigasa because there was bamboo around him. But that was like an anime filler scene, so that could just be wrong. Maybe there's got to be something shrine.
In Hakumai.
Yeah,
it would be absolutely insane if there's nothing in Hakumai for him. So there's got to be something. So then go there, and then it all wraps up in Ringo. We can go see the Fox again and pay respects to... What was his name? The guy that was...
Ushimaru.
Yeah, him. Yeah, I think that actually makes a lot of sense. But anyways, all right, now that I got all my thoughts wrapped up, about Scopper.
You actually brought up one more thing that I'm kind of curious about. This is just like a side detail, but Yasui's dead. He sacrificed a lot for Wano. Would you build a statue of Yasui as his old senile smile self, or would you do Yasui in his prime? Like during the Odin flashback where he's healthy, he's had a couple of meals in him, he's living life, or like would you do the fragile old man we know and love?
You would do the younger version where he, has the hedgehog hair, because I think that was like his nickname, right?
Yeah.
But with the smile. I think you do both.
Ooh, combine it?
combine it
sick.
because people, to pay respects to him, you want him to look like in his prime, like the strong leader Yasuye that was well known, but also his smile and like how he raised the spirits of people after he lost his daimyo position or whatever, and he was just Yasu and was hanging out with Zoro and stuff. Like that's almost just as important as his original role as daimyo, so you gotta merge them. And so I think a happy young Yasu is the way to go.
A beautiful one would be if they had the happy young Yasu with a smile, but also you had his daughter there too, and he had like a smile devil fruit. He's just willfully eating it, or I don't know if you could like really show all that in a statue, but that'd be kind of cool. Be wholesome.
Having Toko somewhere would also be would be good. I mean, Toko's still alive, right? So
yeah, but I like to imagine Yasui would want his daughter there.
I guess I'm just wondering what she would think. Like, well, I guess now that I think about it, we've built statues for living people several times in One Piece. Like in Dressrosa, where they made one for Luffy / Lucy and Usopp.
And
Uso Land. So
yeah, for Uso Land, they gave him the crazy like sugar attack face.
Yeah.
So hopefully they don't immortalize Yasui's big moment where he's getting shot down. Like imagine we have a statue of like the gunman just shooting Yasui. Immortalize that moment. You have Yasui like this smiling, but you also have all the gunmen just aiming at him. That'd be so funny.
The statue is like him like on a cross still. You know what I mean? Like you don't just have a statue of him standing; it's him still up there. Like
bullet holes in him.
Can't do that. Can't do that.
I think Toko would never visit that place again.
Yeah, Toko would burn the place down if that's what happened.
She would knock down the statues of the gunmen. No, not my dad. Not again.
God, that's like it reminds me of like Otohime in the human situation too, which like obviously, I mean that's a bit different, but like it was Hody who technically like led to that. So I'm like, maybe if Hody won, that's the statue he would have had, as like him, killing Otohime or leading to it. I don't know.
the Hody Jones statue would be this, and then you have like a little Otohime on the side. He's just shooting her down.
Which
so
by
funny.
the way, Otohime is like one of my favorite characters, like side characters overall.
Same.
Like, oh my god, Otohime.
I teared up for Otohime. Unlike Ronya, I actually cared about Otohime.
Whoa,
great backstory.
Well, Ronya's not gonna die, so I get it.
Yeah.
Ronya's invincible as far as I'm concerned.
Ronya has plot armor right now, which I'm glad for.
Yeah, heavy plot armor.
Yeah. So on to Scopper now. Conquers Haki. You kind of already gave your answer. You were ready for that. You just said yes. This guy has Conqueror's Haki coding.
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, at this point, if you're, one of the wings of the Pirate King, which, is Sanji going to get it eventually? I would not be shocked, but I just think as far as the past Pirate King goes, that crew had no devil fruit users. We know they were all beasts at Haki. That's like the only way that you can even get through the New World. Well, I guess technically they had one devil fruit user, which was Buggy on the crew eventually, but regardless, I'm thinking he 100% does. What about you?
I totally believe it. I mean, even if this wasn't a showing of Conqueror's Haki, which is debatable, I still think he has it at the end of the day. And what I enjoy about this is that, of course, since he is the Sanji parallel, I do believe that Sanji will get it. Even before this, I thought Sanji would get it anyways. Just because when you think about the Pirate King's crew, it would be odd if only two of them had it, especially when you have Sanji being the wings. I'm like, yeah, it just makes sense in my opinion. What's also kind of interesting about this is the numberings, right? So Roger and Luffy's crew, at this point, if Scopper has it, that means that Roger's crew had 4 Conqueror's Haki users. Currently, if you give it to Sanji as well, then Luffy's group would have 3. I wonder if we're going to get a 4th member that will also have Conqueror's Haki. And I've been going back and forth. I'm like, okay, it could be Yamato because that's already been established, or it could be Usopp. People want Usopp to get Conqueror's Haki. He's lied about that before. And how do you feel about that?
Usopp is a lock to get it.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I think that is. I'm really confident that Sanji will, but I'm more confident that Usopp will. I think Usopp, because the thing about Sanji, again, I don't think there's any reason that he like shouldn't get it. Like, I think it'd be kind of silly if he didn't. Like, I don't think there's like a cool story plot line to tell with him not getting it, but he does have like the Germa enhancements, right? So it's kind of like comparatively to Usopp, Sanji has already had substantial upgrades outside of Conqueror's Haki. It's not like he needs it to continue being strong. Like, Oda could just make the Germa enhancement stronger. Maybe he gets like the next Janbei upgrade. Like, there's things that he can do outside of Conquerors, which maybe the next Diable Janbei upgrade takes Conquerors. But, you know, it like, he doesn't necessarily need it, but I still think he'll get it. But for Usopp, he already lied about it in Wano, which means he's going to get it. To me, that's the ultimate proof. We can just end the discussion there. But beyond that, I mean, he's going to need something that makes him more threatening. And, you know, we already saw that he unlocked observation in like a really intense moment. And I just feel like, I think you and I might have talked about this before, but like, you know, him getting Ragnir or another hammer, would that be really cool? Sure. But like, he needs to be better at sniping. Getting another hammer does not make him any better at sniping. And so if he can get Conqueror's Haki and imbue that into his attacks, or there's a lot of other things that Oda could do, but I just think, hey, Conquerors would make you a better sniper, and that has to happen. So yeah.
It could even be like a one-off moment too, where Usopp gets Conquerors, where it's like Luffy at Marineford or Luffy at Impel Down, where it just activates and he's like, I don't know what that is. And he just kind of moves on with his day. That could be the same thing for Usopp, right? Maybe there's a moment in time where Usopp just screams out he needs something. Conqueror's Haki emits, people get knocked out, and then Usopp doesn't even believe it. He's like, oh, Big Mom or Luffy should be nearby. I say Big Mom because Big Mom's Conqueror's Haki knocked the people out initially. Maybe it's like one of those situations where he's like, oh, that was weird. Luffy must have been looking out for me.
I like that, because every person who's ever used Conquerors for the first time that we've seen, which I think is mainly Luffy and Zoro. I'm trying to think.
Doflamingo, Ace.
But they kind of knew they had it. Like, I'm just thinking the first time somebody ever used it, I think Zoro and Luffy are the only two. I'm trying to think. But regardless, they didn't know that they could use it whenever they did. Right? Like, the first time they ever used it, it was like random. Like, even in Wano, when Zoro used it against Kaido, didn't he even respond to Kaido and say, like, what are you talking about? Or something to that effect? I'm almost
he was
positive.
just confused.
I'm going to pull it up. But he like was like, wait, what? Like, he didn't even know he did that. And so I think for everyone who gets Conquerors, it's going to be the same thing. They're going to be really desperate, and it's just going to happen at one point. And then, you know, they won't even know it at the time, and somebody will have to tell them for sure.
Yeah, which is kind of funny thinking about Zoro, right? Like, Zoro had Conquerors coding against King, and it's like, oh, dude, Luffy had to work for that, man. Like, he really like had to think about how to do this, and then Zoro's just coming in, slicing King. It's like, whoa, Conquerors coding, man. Off rip, like, you didn't have to practice? No, not even a couple of failures, just boom? It's nuts.
In which I'm still waiting for the effects of the mink medicine to kick in. I don't know when that's happening.
It's going to be when we least expect it. It's going to be here in Elbaph. Imagine that's why Zoro's not coming up. He feels the after effects of Wano. The Grim Reaper's still after him.
Which that's you know, we were talking about Wano grapes earlier. I know this, you know, don't want to get off on too much of a tangent here, but like, between the Grim Reaper thing and the mink medicine, I'm like, all right, Oda, you got to give us one of the two. Because now I'm wondering if those are connected, which maybe they are, and that's why you're hiding it. But if they're not, I'm going to be really upset. You know, like, if we find out that this Grim Reaper thing happened, it has nothing to do with the mink medicine, which is okay on its own. But then I'm just going to be wondering, okay, so there's just no side effects? You just brought that up for no reason? You know, like that?
Yeah, just to fill a hole, to make it not feel too broken, right? Like, we'll never use the medicine again because of side effects we haven't seen.
Yeah, and Zoro's still fine. Like, I don't get it. But also, I did look up that panel with, like, Zoro, and yeah, literally, Zoro's like, Kaido's like, you have Conqueror's Haki too? And Zoro's like, what the hell do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about.
What is that? I've never heard that word before.
Yeah, I had no idea I could do that. Like, I think that's where Usopp is that's what's going to happen to him. This arc, probably. And I will add that while I want him to get Conquerors, I I don't think it would be that fulfilling if that's simply all it is. Like, let's say there's a lot of trouble and he unlocks Conquerors and just knocks a bunch of people out like Luffy has before. It's like, okay, Luffy could have just done that instead of you, right? Like that.
Yeah.
What can you do that's special, Usopp? Like, how are you gonna make a difference that only you can do? That's what I'm waiting for.
In regards to Usopp, I could see his Conquerors Haki. So I love the way like Zoro, Luffy, and potentially even Sanji could use their Conquerors Haki different ways. Like for Sanji, I'm over here like throwing out like little headcanon, like, oh, maybe that's where he gets the black leg name from, right? Zoro's over here coating his blades. Yes. Luffy coats his fists in Conquerors Haki. If Usopp were to get it, it would be really cool. Hey, you're a gamer as well. You've probably seen a game like this, but like where Usopp shoots a bullet and it does like crazy AoE electric lightning damage. Like, I think that'd be awesome. Like every time Usopp just hits somebody, it's like, boom, like he shoots one person and then everybody around that area also gets affected. Because right now, that's one of Usopp's downsides. Like in a crowd, he has to rely on his pop greens because they can just attack multiple people at once. But imagine if Usopp's regular bullets did that too. Like an exploding star, but that exploding star has lightning effects to it, and it branches out and hits everybody around him.
It would be cool because he's had like Firebird Star and stuff, and if he could just start like making any shot be whatever he wants, right? Like you think about Firebird Star, like it could be that he could make regular shots also be Firebird, or maybe whenever he uses Firebird Star, he can like upgrade it to be like Phoenix Star or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would like that a lot. And then you kind of talked about like maybe like electric damage, like AoE kind of stuff. Like I'm thinking back to Ragnir right now, and I get that. I know he uses the hammer. There's like all that stuff, but like we kind of talked about, he needs to be better at sniping, and maybe he can somehow steal whatever's powering Ragnir to have electricity. Maybe he can put that into the Kabuto or something, so then all of his attacks have abilities imbued, right?
Yeah, that could be it. Or maybe it's like a Joyboy utilization where he infuses each and every bullet with Haki, which I guess could be like how he does this in the first place, right? But what if that's what he does, and then whenever he shoots somebody, like it just emits a special hard like impact shot on them?
I could be down with that. I think, I don't know, it's tough because like with Usopp having like a wide array of attacks, you know, like he had Firebird Star, Ketchup Star, whatever else originally, and now he has the Pop Greens. Like he's always used like weird ammo, you know what I mean? Like he almost never uses regular bullets, like ever, right? Like it's always something weird. And so like I'm like debating in my head like,
would this be too cool?
Yeah, like I don't like Usopp's like a weird guy, you know? And something else I was thinking of is that in his Kabuto, he has like a dial that shoots the shots faster. It's like in that little pouch or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, makes it more powerful. But we also know that there are a lot of different kinds of dials. Those are tied to Sky Islands. Elbaph has a lot of Sky Island connections. And something that I heard somebody bring up that I like is that what if Ragnir has dials in it? And that's why it has electricity. It's like it has an electric dial inside. And so it's able to emit that every time it attacks. Which that's not confirmed or anything. Definitely a theory. But another angle to that is also, remember Urouge. I don't know if you and I talked about this, but his fruit has not been revealed yet. I know everyone is saying like the karma fruit, which that is like generally how it works. He takes damage and then can get stronger and send it back to you. But that's also how dials work.
Yeah.
And, you know, like he's a human dial. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he has like the dial no me and we just call it karma or whatever. But it's like that's really what it is. And so anyway, I just combine all that just to say like Usopp could just get maybe like an ultimate dial. Like what if Ragnir breaks and the dial that's in Ragnir then goes into his Kabuto, and then that's how he gets Ragnir, you know, becomes his, quote unquote, is like he gets the power of it. I think that something like that might work.
Yeah, I would like that. Tying him back to Skypiea, which funny enough, they have like a little, we talked about statues earlier, but Skypiea also has a statue of Usopp over there. And that's like a buffed out version of Usopp, man. They made him look good, which, to be fair, man, if they made a statue of me somewhere in the world, I wanted to be like a fake, prime body of Sai. I wouldn't want to be like just the guy I am right now. Like, dude, make me a fucking Adonis.
Yeah, Photoshop me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, please.
You don't need like an actual portrait, which actually, like a lot of those old portraits of like, kings
George Washington
or religious people, whatever. A lot of those artists did make those people look better than they actually did. Like, there's a lot of historical stuff saying like that person, like none of these people looked as good as they do in the painting. You know what I mean? Like they obviously were a bit dirtier, probably. I don't know, other stuff. They did not look as clean cut as they do.
Yeah,
in the
like Genghis Khan, Napoleon, Christopher Columbus. Like, I bet they had hella pores going back then,
Oh yeah,
like,
I mean,
but in those pictures, man, they're like flawless. Like, you think they're almost Korean. Their skin is just so damn pristine.
Yeah, and a lot of these people, I'm like, look, I know some, like some cultures know, but I know some cultures, like, y'all had hella acne when you were in puberty. You know what I mean? Like, and y'all are getting portraits done when you're like 17, because back then, like, they tend to be a lot younger whenever they would like get into royalty or whatever.
Yeah,
and I'm like y'all are way too young, and I know you're coming from parts of the world that their skin is not that resilient. Like, you don't look this clean. I know you don't, but.
Yeah, they definitely did. They did whoever they were drawing a lot of favors, those artists. And I like to imagine whenever like they do a dictator, right? Like Hitler, for example, they made him look pretty fire. I bet it's because like if you don't draw them in a good light, they're probably just gonna kill you.
Exactly.
Like, you drew a pimple on me, guys, shoot him down. Like,
yep. They're like,
God.
Like, sadly, that's it. Like, the artists who were there, they were not there. Oh, who is that?
That was Airy.
Airy.
Yeah, just walking across my desk.
If you like, those artists were not making a perfect rendition. They were not taking like a photo. They were, romanticizing them. They were stylizing them for future historical purposes, because once this person dies, all we're going to have are the portraits. Like, hey, make me look really good. And then they'll never know I was actually, kind of ugly. Like, they'll think I was good
like
looking.
Alexander the Great. I don't think he was so great, man. I don't think he was great looking.
Yeah, I was about to say, depending on what greatness you're talking about, I mean, he was cooking there for a while.
Yeah,
but...
he was cooking. There's so many different depictions of Alexander the Great. I'm looking at him right now. Like, I feel like a lot of these, he looks very... There's not a lot of pictures of him. Like, there's maybe 4 from back then. And then the rest are just like the same sculptor.
Yeah, I see the same sculpture, I think, over and over, and then I see the same painting over and over, but like in different styles.
Yeah. Huh. What did Alexander the Great do again? Like, wasn't he he was almost like Genghis Khan in a way, where he has a lot of kids. Yeah. But he was also just all about like expansion, right? He was just going. Yeah, he was just traveling a single direction, is what I recall.
Yeah, I'm not a huge history buff on this kind of stuff, but yeah, definitely a lot of like conquest. Like, he had a massive empire, similar to Genghis Khan in that way. I'm not really sure, who had more area, who killed more people, or that kind of stuff, but very similar. He overthrew the Persian Empire.
Yeah. Macedonian king. From Greece to Egypt and India. Huh, undefeated in battle. No way. I don't believe it. Like, that's definitely romantic. I bet he lost at least once, right?
Surely. Well,
I mean, he's dead. He lost to God.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up. When did he die?
He died
when he was like
June 323 BC.
Yeah, he was only 32. He died from an illness. That's what I was going to look up. Like, did he die from actually battle? But he died from illness. Speculated causes have included poisoning and assassination. So maybe somebody did kill him. So maybe he did lose.
I wonder if there's like named characters that he fought. Because right now he's kind of sounding like Kong, just like, he's probably done some great things. But who has he fought 1v1? I gotta know.
He's like Foxy, who is 920 and 0 before fighting Luffy. It's like, hey, Foxy, who were the first 920, bro? Like, you're not. I mean, if you lose to like this pipsqueak, I mean, I love Luffy, but like we're talking, midway through the Grand Line portion. Like, if you're losing to him, I mean, who are you fighting before that?
Oh, we have a 1v1 battle. Alexander the Great fought King Porus in the Battle of Hydropus in 326 BC. And it's considered one of the toughest fights in Alexander's career. It's probably like the 10-day standoff from Aokiji and Akainu.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds
I was about to
like.
say, is this is Luffy and Katakuri. Like, Katakuri never lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow. And then in the Battle of Granicus in 334 BC, Alexander was reportedly stunned by an axe blow. What? Who documented that? Just stunned by an axe blow.
What does that even like? When they say stunned, I'm like, okay.
Was it Scopper Gaban?
Yeah.
What happened?
Did somebody get broken like in Expedition 33? You know what I mean? Like like, can they not move? Like what?
Yeah,
because I know what that. Man. Obviously, I know what being stunned means generally, but whenever you're telling me like in the middle of a battle, you know what I mean? Somebody is stunned. I'm like, are they just? They just like, are they in shock? Like, what? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, like, did they like cut his leg off or something? He couldn't move. I just don't know. Was he like incapacitated, knocked out? Like, how do you get stunned IRL? Like in a video game, it makes sense, but IRL, you got stunned? Like, what? Did they hit you with a taser? No, it was an axe, but I don't. Maybe it has like a electric dial on it or something.
Yeah, he's about to say it's Ragnar. It was pre-Ragnar. Yeah,
I'm looking at Genghis Khan right now. Like, who has Genghis Khan fought?
Who do you got in a 1v1? Alexander the Great or a gorilla?
Alexander the Great.
I mean, you don't have the Great added onto your name unless you can beat a gorilla. I'm pretty sure that's like how that's determined.
God, I remember when that debate was going hard, dude. Just everywhere you turn, left and right, even on the news channels, just, one gorilla versus 100 men. And I've taken a very hard stance on it. I mean, the 100 men are winning. I just don't see how anybody realistically thinks the gorilla wins.
I mean, are we talking 100 men with weapons, or are we talking 100 men with fists?
We could say just fists, dude. With just fists, the 100 men would win.
If it's just fists and like there's not, like any if the humans can use the environment around them to their advantage, then I think the argument gets a lot tougher, right? I think because depending on what environment they're in and stuff, like the gorilla might just be an idiot and like if there's quicksand, then just trick the gorilla to go in the quicksand. Like depending on what's going on, the humans can outsmart the gorilla. But I think if we're talking like what's the level on Super Smash Bros that everyone plays? Final Destination, where it's like just like a straight empty platform. Like if you're talking that, where like there's no environment to use to your advantage, it's literally just fists, whoever outlasts the other. I mean, I got the gorilla all day, but if the human's brain can come into play, then the humans will win. But there's certain situations where the brain won't matter.
I just can't see the stamina of the gorilla lasting. Like, a gorilla already weighs, 350 pounds. Just walking around is such a hassle. I mean, that's why they swing everywhere. Well, that's not why they swing everywhere, but, I feel like they won't be able to last. And then, the lasting damage of, just poking out its eyes and having it bleed out slowly, that's another strategy. I think a lot of people will get cooked, but at the same time, the gorilla does not have the energy for that.
I mean, in my mind, it's only going to take one punch a person. Because it's just they're so beefy. I
agree.
And so for me, I'm like, and let's say some people get up and need a second punch to be down. Like, the gorilla can throw 200 punches before they get tired. Now, I do agree that if the humans work in concert, right? They're hive mind about it, and they don't care that the front line has to get sacrificed. If you get rid of that mental part. Because, the human's brain can also be a deterrent as much as it can help. Because, they're too smart to think, well, if I just go if I'm the first one to charge at it, I'm going to die even if we win. So I don't want to do that. That element of it matters. But if they were hive mind about it, and and like you're talking about, they could team up to like go for his eyes. Maybe they could try choking him out. Like, like there's certain things you could do to really, like, even if you like, I know it's gonna sound gross, but like you have one guy poke his eyes, one guy like poke his nose, another guy
fist his butthole,
mess with other body parts that would hurt. Like, I mean, if you're working in concert, you can probably do it, but I don't know if I trust the humans to do that.
Yeah,
I don't have enough. Human cooperation is something that has been a struggle for the last while.
That's why, like, I think both sides have to be like bloodlusted. Which is a funny term, but like, yeah, the gorilla's bloodlusted, it wants to kill everybody, and the humans are bloodlusted, they work together and want to kill the gorilla. Like, I think everybody has to be locked in. But also, I love that this even got like gorilla conservationalists on the news just talking about like, yeah, like, I've been working with gorillas for 40 years, I've been saving their lives, but let me tell you, the 100 people will win. I just love that, like, you turn on like CNN or something, and that's what you see, like, off rip. Just professionals coming in and weighing in with their opinion.
Yeah, it's just such a funny question, like, because
it's a simple question that I feel like everybody's asked before too. There's nothing unique about it, because I'm sure like kids do that all the time, right? Like, oh, who would win? You or a tiger? Or who would win? You or an elephant? But it's just like this one really just blew up.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't even know where it started, but like you said, it was on news channels, and that's where I was like, man, how far have we come? Yeah. Like now we're talking about like we're already avoiding a lot of important topics, and now we're doing this.
We're bringing up the great hypotheticals. I love it, dude.
Yeah.
No, I was about to say, just going back to One Piece for the very last time to take us out of here. Not like take us out of existence. We're still gonna be alive after this video, but
yeah, it's not the last time, like, forever. But
yeah.
For today,
it's never forever. But I want to bring up the topic of the owl. I'm sure you have many theories about this damn creature. But we do see the owl in this chapter, right? Jarl's like, hey, Ange, burn down the library. And then you see the owl just staring at us, like, directly. And I've always been of the mindset that the owl is going to be very important. I make this bet once per arc. I see one random-ass side character. I'm like, okay, they're going to be important. And again, I was wrong. I thought the Recycle Cur was going to be massive. Recycle Cur was just a far in the wind. We forgot all about him. But this owl, I have high expectations. We do not know what devil fruit it has. Vegapunk only speculated that it might have the nurture, grow no mi. The owl has been here for hundreds of years. And there's a chair next to the owl, which I think is suspicious. Oda made sure to draw the chair even in this chapter, which people are like, okay, so it's a chair. We see thousands of chairs. I'm sitting in a chair right now, god damn it. But here's the thing. That means that somebody's sitting next to this owl. Or it means that the owl sits in that chair, which might not seem like a big deal. But what if this owl is actually a person? What if it's like a giant or human in disguise? And they simply de-transform and just sit there where nobody's here. Like, I don't know. Like, I see so many different ways where this owl could come into play. The owl could even save the library for all we know, right? Maybe the library gets set on fire and the owl simply just, blows wind at it. Flaps its wings, or maybe it takes the books away or shrinks them or puts them in a different dimension. Like, I think this owl's going to be cracked. But what do you think about this guy?
First off, I love him, and I do have a lot of thoughts, but I never once noticed the chair. So now I see what you're talking about here in the latest chapter. I'm just trying to go back and, yeah, it's there in his introduction.
Yeah, the chair always stood out to me because I'm like, who the hell sits there? Is somebody like, and you know what? Because if you sit on the chair, you're like looking at the owl, whispering in its ear. Like, who does that? Nobody's done that yet.
Well, you know
Scopper?
what? So we know that he has the like a paramecia fruit or whatever, right? So like it's not like he's a human with an owl fruit. At least, I mean, in One Piece, who knows? It could all. Oda's done that before with Luffy, sneaking in a zone fruit there. But we can probably assume it's not. But like you're saying, could it be a guy in disguise? Now the problem with that is he's been alive for hundreds of years. I believe I forget who said that, but I think he might be like Void Century age, to be honest. I mean, because some of the animals were said to be like 1,000 years old.
Joyboy Nakama.
But basically what I'm saying is I think he probably is just an owl. But then, yeah, how does the chair factor in? That's so weird. As far as the chair goes, man, I'm a little stumped. I mean, yeah, it might make sense that somebody would go and sit up there, but that just seems so weird. I mean, maybe he just sits there in his owl form. Like, I know the chair, like, it shouldn't fit. Like, he would break it, but...
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what? I know that it said that he can only change the size of, like, inorganic objects, right? I can't remember what they said, what the rules were. But maybe he can just shrink himself.
Oh, like he awakens it and just shrinks himself?
Yeah, or I don't even know if he needs to awaken, because, like, I'm thinking back to, like, I don't really have a great example.
Or would he
like,
already be awakened because he has a domain and anything that walks in this domain gets enlarged? Book specifically. That seems like an awakening almost.
Wait, can he make the chair bigger? You know what I mean?
The chair bigger so he can sit in it?
Yeah, because maybe that's its normal size, but then he enlarges it whenever he wants to sit down. I don't know. I'm thinking too much about the chair,
right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't have a good answer for the chair. That's all I'm gonna say. The chair is a mystery.
Yeah, ignore the chair for now.
I'm gonna ignore the chair. But I agree with you. This guy is super important, and it sounds like a meme answer. But like, you know, in Avatar when we met the owl in the library, like you don't see an owl in a library and it's just nothing. You know, like that's just like I don't know. That's definitely built off of some legend or something. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick, but that's definitely they're pulling off some, you know. Wow. Oh, Wan Shi Tong.
Yeah. I just typed in
like
owl in library legend and just Wan Shi Tong popped up.
Yep, that I also see. Yeah, I know that owls and like wisdom and knowledge and all that are like deeply tied. Oh, and also Athena apparently has a story with an owl. Regardless, that's like something in fiction that has been done time and time again. So I think that since Oda's pulling on it, it's going to matter a lot because, like I said, this owl is hundreds of years old. Burning the library and school down is like a massive plot point right now because it's mirroring from Ohara, right? And we also know that the Ohara books went to the library, which this owl is covering. So there's a literal, in my mind, 0% chance that this owl is, you know, like a throwaway. Like he's going to have a massive role. Maybe not like, you know, the most important character of the arc, but he's definitely going to have some knowledge for us. He's going to have met some important people, probably met like Noland or something.
Maybe even Louis Arnaud.
Oh yeah, for sure, Louis. But now I don't really know what I like expect the owl to do though necessarily, because like if the library starts burning, that might be a cool chance for the owl to like, you know, maybe show some of their abilities to put out the fire, or to maybe the owl is actually really strong and they go and hurt the God's Knight, and maybe they're like, hey, how do you guys not know the secret? Like you haven't read enough, you haven't learned enough. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff there the owl can do. I don't know what he's gonna do, but what do you think?
He could even be like the main villain for all we know. Like we know nothing about the owl. You know, if it's that old, I agree with you. Like, that's the Void Century era. He could be like a Joyboy Nakama. He could even be the reason why Louis Arnaud says you shouldn't stay in Elbaph for too long. Like, you stay here too long, the owl of the library will find you. Like, I just have no clue. But I do expect him to do something. Par was tossing around the idea that maybe Killingham's gonna fight the owl. But I don't see that happening. I feel like that's such a weird matchup. Like an owl fighting. Like the only way I could see the owl fighting is if it had a human form. And this is one of those instances where I really wish Chopper would lock in. And you know where we were talking about, you know, Jinbei using his fishman strats. We need a Chopper to lock in and talk to this owl, man. Use your animal tokens, you know? Come on.
Chopper will talk to this owl. I think I literally said that in maybe my reaction for the first time we met the owl, because that's just like you can't have Chopper go into the library where there's this owl and they don't have a conversation like that. Oda, we talked earlier about the Zunisha Raizo situation. Oda, this is nearing that level. I'm like, it's tantalizing. Part. Like I can't sit here and know Chopper is this close to getting some key information. And like, even if it's not Void Century stuff, literally have Chopper ask about like some medicine or just who are you, right? Like, and actually think back to his time skip. The fact that he could talk to those giant birds or whatever that were, on that like caveman island, whatever the situation was, like that was a huge factor, and that's also a bird. And also, think about this: Big News Morgans is another bird who, he's not tied to a library, but he is tied to like writing, to information, to knowledge, right? He is tied to that, which is maybe important, and he hides his identity using his albatross form. So that was the first thing I thought of with the chair, as I was like, oh my god, is Biblo gonna be like Morgan's dad, or like Morgan's cousin or something? But he probably is an owl, so I'm not sure. But regardless, I mean, Oda's got all these birds, that have important knowledge at their disposal that I don't know, needs to get uncovered, man.
We can't forget all the marine women are also named after birds too.
Yep.
Yeah, so birds are big. I just can't believe the fact that Chopper was in the library with the owl for a prolonged period of time and did not talk to it. And the craziest part, by the way, get this. They know that there's a mystery going on with the owl. Vegapunk said, Saul called it the mysterious owl library. And then Vegapunk, next chapter, was like, we don't know what the owl has for sure, but I speculate that it's the Grow no Mi. It's like, okay, like, we can actually cut the speculation in half. Like, just go talk to the owl, Chopper. Like, ask him, hey, people are talking, man. Do you have a devil fruit? Like, simply ask that question. And then another egregious part was when Robin and Chopper were reading the Harley text in the books here in the library, and the books were too big for Chopper to read. Don't you think that Chopper could simply look up at the owl and say, hey, can you unshrink this for a little bit? Can you bring down the size for me? He didn't ask that. And it's like the owl is right there. It's in earshot.
And also, in kind of that same scene, it shows the owl again, and there's even a speech bubble that says, "We got some medical books native to Elbaph too. Wow, I can't wait to read them. Although those books were always large, so they can't be shrunk down."
Oh.
And so right there, you can't shrink them down. But regardless, it's showing the owl while they're saying that. It's like, hey, Chopper, if you can't read the book, go ask the owl. Like, just ask him if he can, and if he can't, ask him, hey, do you know what this book says? Like, can you help me read this? Because you might know. You're the librarian of this place. You know what I mean? Like, if I have a question about a book I can't read, this is literally the person you would ask. So,
damn. It's crazy. So the owl can grow things but not shrink. If the library catches on fire, could the owl just outgrow the fire? Well, like, imagine a book gets caught on fire and the owl expands the book to be the size of like an entire island, which would be absurd. I don't think the owl can do that, by the way. But, like, let's say, like, theoretically, like, the owl could really just prolong how long it takes to burn down the library. Like, maybe normally it would take maybe 10 minutes to burn down the library, but because the owl enlarges it so much, it takes like an hour or something, and it buys us a lot of time. I could see that being one way to save the library, but
that's interesting.
I don't know.
I mean, if the library does catch fire, Biblo stepping up and doing something makes some sense. And also, I was just rereading this and going back to like the, is the owl an owl or whatever? Like, why is the chair there thing? Saul does say, they say he's been here for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
All we can say for sure about this owl is that he gigantifies any book that enters his territory. And then Lilith is the one who chimes in like, oh, he must have eaten the rear fruit and become a nurturing owl to think even inorganic things can grow with his power. Like, personally, I think the odds are it is the rear fruit, and it is like a paramecia and stuff, because like Oda most of the time isn't going to have somebody name a specific fruit without that actually being it, right?
Yeah.
But I will say the fact that the people on Elbaph don't know what fruit he has, and they're just saying, oh, all we know is that he's been here for hundreds of years and he gigantifies things. We've never really investigated this mysterious giant owl
that lives on the island in a specific building.
Right. And the thing that makes me think it maybe could be a zone. Again, the fact she said rear fruit probably means it's that, but they say he's been here for hundreds of years. Well, giants do live to be hundreds of years old, so it could be a giant that just got this owl fruit. And as far as like the powers, I mean, mythical zones always have weird extra abilities. You know what I mean? Like Paramecia-esque ones. So
yeah,
I don't think that's. So I don't think that's ruled out yet. Like, even though she said rear, I mean, she could just be wrong. Maybe there is a Paramecia that does that. She just doesn't know there's a mythical owl zone that also does it. And then the other thing I just want to say is I just noticed the chair again. So like Oda did make the chair super consistent. Like,
it's the most consistent part about the library, just that damn chair.
Oda couldn't keep which arm of Summers got cut off straight, but he can get the chair in every single panel. At least he didn't forget that part. Yeah,
I've seen a lot of people saying that the arm thing is on purpose and Summers is playing a joke on Scopper. Like, oh, like, Summers actually, put his hand in his sleeve and he doesn't care, he regenerated. But it's like, it reminds me of like the whole thing where people are like, oh, the beginning of Elbaph is fake. It's the green berry. But, realistically, it's just mistakes from the team and it's no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love the cope around it though.
Yeah, Oda's made a lot of mistakes like that lately, and I mean he's kind of done it like throughout the whole story. I just don't think a lot of us noticed because he corrects it in the volume, right? So like we're kind of seeing the raw version, and then anybody who's getting caught up will see the corrected version later. And like there's actually one thing in Egghead which as far as I know, I'm like the only person that brought this up, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy, but whenever Kuma came and protected Bonnie and like punched Saturn and was holding Bonnie, he was on his left. I don't know which knee it was exactly, but he was on his right knee at first, and then the next time it showed him and Bonnie, he was on his left knee, and then the next time he was on both knees, and I was like, okay. Is this dude just doing lunges? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just switching. Like, is he uncomfortable? Like, is the knee hurting? So he had to switch which knee he was putting pressure on? Like, it was literally like in 3 separate pages, he was just swapping back and forth.
He's maxing out, brother.
Well, what's funny is we know he's not doing lunges because Kuma has skipped leg day every day for his entire life. So I don't know. That's another mistake that I don't even know if Oda corrected that in the volume because it was like kind of minor, but I was just kind of laughing, like imagining him like holding Bonnie, having this really intense, sad moment, this very sentimental thing while his legs are just like swapping.
It's kind of funny because that's when Kuma deactivates. So imagine Bonnie's reaction. Like her dad is unresponsive, he can't move, but he's doing lunges on the side. So like Bonnie's like, Dad? Oh no, he's just doing another lunge.
Yeah,
Dad? It's like, he's just changing legs. Okay.
Yeah, like that's what I was thinking. Like for Bonnie, it's like, wait, what are you doing?
What are you trying to say?
What Dad? Like what? Yeah, and that's actually about to happen in the anime in like a month or couple months. So hopefully they fix it. But I was imagining in my head, like if the animators are like, all right, Oda, like you want us to be accurate, and then like he's just sitting there like doing lunges while Bonnie's like freaking out.
Yeah, I just remember like all the theories that came out from the beginning of Elbaph because of like minor inconsistencies. And the minute I was like, hey guys, like I don't think like it's a theory about Green Fairy or anything, the amount of vitriolic hate that just came out of the community was absurd. People saying, Oda never makes mistakes. You think the God King Oda would ever draw something incorrectly? My God, Sai, what the fuck are you reading? Like I don't mind if people have those theories. I just don't believe them. But like the fact that nobody could even comprehend that a mistake could possibly happen is absurd.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about like the fact that there's 12 people at least that work on each chapter. Like Oda doesn't draw all of this himself, right? Like Oda maybe like out of this entire chapter of 1148, Oda maybe works on like 4, 5, 7 panels, and that's it. Panels, not pages, but panels. Like when you like even back in Fishman Island, there was a lot of times where Oda would come out in interviews and he was like, "Yeah, like actually, my people drew this up, but I changed it a little bit." Like he's really just like their manager. I mean, he draws still, but like he does just manage this team, and they're the ones who draw for him.
Yeah, he could never have the time to, make all of these
with
right?
his health and age. Yeah,
it's like if we want
and then writing the story and dialogue,
30 to 40. God. What's that?
Oh, and then plus like he writes a story and dialogue, so like he's already preoccupied doing all that. So like he has a big team. But go on, my bad.
And he's also, probably talking to the anime team here and there for like with a similar role, like, oh hey, I don't want that, or make sure you include this, or hey, I meant to add this when I was writing the chapter. Could you just include this for me, like that? Yeah, I can't tell you what things he's talked about, but those discussions definitely happen, and the live action obviously takes a lot of his time. So like, I mean, he kind of has to do it that way. But like you said, like. Drawing is really hard, and it takes a lot of time. So like, I have a ton of respect for the guys doing that. But like, Oda is up a level. Like he's kind of coaching. Like it's kind of like on a YouTube channel a little bit. I mean, he's doing much bigger things than a YouTube channel, obviously. But like, for YouTubers, like they tend to get editors eventually. And I've even seen memes where it's like, oh, like you don't even make your own videos. I'm like, well. Yeah, we don't edit them, but like it's not like the editor is scripting it and I'm like using an AI thing to make my voice and then editing it, and like obviously the creators are doing a lot of the work. It's just the editor is actually putting the pictures and videos to the file. So like which is a lot of work too, but it's just for Oda to pump out as much content as we want from One Piece. If we want the anime as consistently as we get it, if we want manga as consistently as we get it, he kind of has to do that. So I agree. There are plenty of mistakes, and
there's nothing wrong with mistakes.
And Oda didn't do himself any favors by having them bring up that it might be a hallucination, and then having mistakes in that same chapter. Right? That was like It's like, okay, like Oda, you set yourself up for that one.
Yeah, like I said, I don't mind the green fairy theories. I love when people speculate and have theories. We do that all the time. I think it was just the fact that people couldn't accept a reality where it was just a simple like mistake. It's like creating a theory and then only believing that theory, not seeing anything else. It's like, whoa. We got the blinders on, guys. Come on. What are we doing?
Yep, I agree with that 100%. I did have one other question about the chapter to ask you.
Same.
We'll ask yours first because I can't find the panel I was going to talk about.
Yeah, I forgot to ask like a glaring thing. I keep on looking at it and I'm like, oh, I'm going to ask Dax this, and then I get sidetracked and then I just forget and then I come back to it again. This is like the third time it's popped up in my head. But Scopper and Summers, they know each other. God Valley or other event? What do you think?
I think God Valley is the most likely because Summers is old enough. We don't know his real age, but he looks like 60s.
An old gun,
maybe.
Yeah,
probably.
He was
like
around
60.
when color TV was a thing.
Yeah. So he's old enough. So I would say God Valley, because we even have Scopper say like long time no see. So like they definitely have like a personal connection, or like not that they're like family or friends, but they definitely have met and fought. So
yeah,
I'm thinking God Valley. Do you have a different theory?
I think there are a lot of inflection points we can add in, like, oh, maybe Marie's Raw, maybe Laugh Tale, or a different place. But I think God Valley's the easy alley-oop, and I think that does open the door for a God Valley flashback, which would be really fun.
Yeah.
But the reaction that Summers had, he almost seemed really shocked and almost like scared that Scopper is here, which I wonder about heavily. Because when it comes to God Valley, we know that the Marines and Roger worked together to take down Roxy Zebek. So if that is true, if that's the case, then Scopper and Summers would have been on the same team theoretically, right?
I wonder how that all went down, because it should mean that, but also, like, yes, the Marines are, at, like, they work at the behest of the world government, but they also, like, aren't the world government, right? Like, they do operate on their own a little bit, and that's kind of what we see with Akainu, I think, right now. Like, he's pretty frustrated with the lack of separation of powers there, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I could see a world where, like, the Marines, not that Rox and the Gods Knights teamed up, but I could see a world where, like, the Marines maybe decided to work with the Roger Pirates before the Gods Knights did. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Marines are like, hey, our men are dying. We need to do whatever it takes to stop them. If Roger's going to help us stop this, we're doing it. And maybe the Gods Knights are like, no, like, you're not working with pirates. And, like, there could be a little bit of an argument there, right? So I could maybe see.
Yeah, so, like, they were just Yeah, okay. Because, yeah, it did seem like the God Knights were deploying against the Roger Pirates initially, but maybe after a couple of bouts, that's when they were like, hey, now we got to really, like, hone in on Rox. Like, we got to fight this guy instead.
Actually, the more I think about it, it could be where the Marines, it's so twisted, but maybe the Marines are like, hey, our job is to make sure that the Gods Knights get to do their cleansing. And so maybe the Gods Knights just kept killing innocent people on the island. And Roger...
Oh, okay.
And so then the Gods Knights are separate. Like, they're just still doing their terrible stuff. Which, if you go back to chapter 1096, which that will be animated, like, this weekend, right? Or next weekend, or whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to see that one. But, or 1095. No, we just had 1094, and then 95 will be... Whatever. Couple weeks, we'll have that. But it seemed like the Gods Knights were getting ready to, like, fight Roger or whoever was pulling up on the island, so I don't know if that's necessarily the case. But that would be kind of a cool plot line, I feel like, to kind of just say, like, hey, Marines, we're here to kill all these innocent people. We're going to do that. You need to go stop these angry pirates, like, because that's your job. Like, that would be, like, a cool way just to show the... like, how far above they are, like, the power authoritative difference, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I think that's tough, because I also think if you have Roger, Garp, and the Gods Knights on the same team versus Xebec, and it was still a tough fight, I mean, Xebec is a monster.
Yeah. Right? If I were to hold a poll, which is funny, if I were to hold a poll, does Roxy Xebec have Conqueror's Hockey? I feel like that'd be like 100%, right?
I don't see any other way. So I do agree with that, but I also think with the Blackbeard connections, you could argue that he was like, maybe he had a really strong Devil Fruit, maybe he had multiple, I don't know. Maybe he had a lot of Devil Fruit weapons.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things with that.
That's something I want to see somebody do in the story, which Rox would be a good bet, but I'll take anybody, really. Where, like, somebody should have, like, a whole arsenal of Devil Fruit weapons, right? Like, you have a sword with this power, maybe you have a gun with this power, maybe, like, your clothes have powers. Because, like, if you can't have multiple, there is a way to use multiple, right?
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Like, a guy just has, like, a bunch of random objects that have Zoans. Like, imagine they wear a trench coat, right? And then just like a nude flasher, they just whip out the trench coat, they open it wide open.
Oh, God.
And then, like, a bunch of animals and just random abilities start spewing out because they all have devil fruits.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. Because, like, you think about, like, Spandam and Funkfried, right? Like, somebody needs to be doing that on the regular. Like,
yeah.
If your gun had a... I don't know, like, I'm trying to... something that can shoot fire. I don't know. I can't think of any. I was going to say, like, Marco's Phoenix Fruit, but he doesn't. His fire is a little bit different. But even tying to that, what if what if you gave your trench coat the Phoenix Fruit, and then you're just coated in healing flames all the time, and
That'd
you can't
be
even
sick.
get hurt? Like, I just want somebody to do that. Like, it's such an obvious way to get really strong.
Ooh, and then you have, like, the Yami Yami no Mi gloves, so you can, like, touch everybody and negate their powers.
That would be sick. Now, that one's a Logia, so that one would be the hardest to do something with. But Because I mean, we kind of see that with the Seraphim already, where at least if you agree with the idea that Katarina is going to use Saturn's form to command the Seraphim,
Yeah.
then Blackbeard has like things that will let him use paramecia powers, outside of his own body, and then the zones can go into objects, and you can have zones. So then we just need a method for Logias to get used that way, which I don't know what that would be yet, but yeah, I would really like that.
Yeah. So that question you were looking for, were you able to find it?
I did.
Ooh.
What did you think? And this is kind of just a funny question, but what did you think about Robin's attack named Drumsticks? Like, why? What are we doing? Do you know why? What Oda's going for there?
So funny enough, in the versions I read, it was not drumsticks, and I believe I'm looking at the Viz right now. Yeah, so the Viz doesn't even have drumstick. So the Viz and OP scans, they went with Craspedia, which is a flower. TCB is the only translation I've seen that used drumsticks.
And then I'm trying to understand what they're even going for with Craspedia, or because the drumsticks idea, which Oda is trying to, it's a flower, yes, because all of Robin's attacks are flower related, but
yeah,
it's obviously meant to be something else, and that's kind of what I'm just curious about. What is?
So Craspedia is a flower, and drumstick. So they're kind of related because Craspedias are known as the drumstick flowers. So that's where TCB got it.
Okay, I'm just what is special about this plant that is related to what she's doing?
It's really just a stalk
is it just a
and
random
a ball. Yeah, it literally looks like it could just be a fist, just a bunch of fists, I guess.
But that's what I'm confused. Okay, so you're saying that's the thing is Robin it's one big hit. It's one big slap or whatever.
Yeah, maybe it's because it's so long. That is why it's called that. Because those the drumstick flowers, the Crespedias, they look long.
It's like a dandelion. At least
like a sturdy dandelion.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Robin does have a couple of other flower attacks too, so I think it falls in line.
Yeah, because there's always some logic behind the attack names, and I always love breaking those down. And which I mean, some of them are kind of basic, but for Luffy he has whip and rocket and whatever, but he upgraded those to booming dawn whatever, and I thought that was cool. So I always try looking at the attack names, and that one I was like, what the hell is going on? Drumsticks, what is that? And so even Craspedia, I'm I don't know, it feels like just a random flower, but hey, I mean,
yeah, at least it kind of looks like it though. I'll give it that, right? Just a long arm.
I guess that's what he's going for. It's just, that one just feels random to me. But hey, not every attack name can be the most mind blowing thing.
Yeah, because I mean, she also has Cianflore's slap, stomp. I think she has a couple of others. This could have just been push, because it kind of just pushes them back.
That's what I'm thinking, and I was also wondering is there a Fishman karate angle to this? That's kind of that's where my brain first went. Is I was like, oh, is Robin maybe doing damage with Fishman karate because maybe that works against the Gorus or the regeneration? Obviously that didn't end up happening in the chapter when I first saw it. That's what I was thinking of, and then afterward I was like, okay, let's go back to the drumstick. What the hell was happening?
Yeah, why is it called that?
Yeah, so I don't know. I was really hoping for some Fishman karate, but it looks like we're just like you said. It should have just been push. Whenever, and also the other thing I was thinking was drumsticks. I'm like, okay, wait. So we got the drums of liberation, and we have Robin who can make really long arms. Is there a drums of liberation connection? But nope. It seems to be this flower.
Just another flower.
Which is fine.
shout outs to Robin, man. I really hope she gets hockey soon so that she could cut Gunko's arrow rope thing. If she had hockey, I think those bindings would be done. But unfortunately, she just has a regular butter knife.
Which, that's actually a good point, dude. Shouldn't Jinbei? I mean, I know it takes a decent amount of hockey, but we know Jinbei's pretty decent with it. Shouldn't he be able to like
get out?
Use hockey to because Well, that's an important thing. Are they tied up with her arrows, or are they just tied up in general?
I think they're tied up with their arrows, because their arrows look just like that. But that also makes it crazy, because like Jinbei can do full body armament hockey. We literally saw it. So it's like, why can't he get out? Like, is Gunko's hockey or Devil Fruit just that strong?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like not the exact same as like Law and Kaido and Big Mom, because like those were like effects like on their direct body, where this is like wrapped around you. But I feel like the logic should still stand, like because the way the arrows work is not just a typical binding. It's because the arrow is like I would imagine it's because the arrow's pointing to a future where they're bound. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not just because of like the constriction of it. It's because the arrow is saying that this is what's supposed to be happening. So like hockey should work. So I don't know. And what did you think about Brook being mummified?
They definitely mummified him so that he can't say anything about Gunko.
You think that's it?
I think that's part of it. The other reasoning is, of course, Gunko just does not like Brook right now because he turned her down. So I think it's double layered. It's one, simply because Gunko hates him, but two, because Brook would spill the beans about either how he knows Gunko or about how to hurt the God Knights. Like, what if Brook knows the answer, but you gotta shut him up, right? Like, they just wrapped him up instead. Oda did not want to reveal it just yet. Like, maybe next chapter, Robin moves it away from his mouth, and that's when he shouts it out. If not Chopper, like we talked about earlier, maybe it's Brook instead.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I was also wondering, like, is he like really injured now? And that's like, is he, are they like bandages because he's hurt? Because he got like kicked or whatever by Gunko, and Gunko was like really mad last chapter. But I think you're right. It's probably just she's like really mad at him, and like he had to get extra tied up to make up for his transgressions or what have you. But but I agree. He didn't want to be a slave. Something. Like it's tough because I don't think Gunko would care about Brook revealing anything, but I feel like Oda does. Right? Like, Oda doesn't want Brook to say anymore, so I think he might have just done all that so then he's out of it for a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it, right? If a character is too strong, if they have too much information, you gotta nerf them. Kind of like not having the Monster Trio here or Loki here. Oda's holding him back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, you gotta hold back all the goats. You got the Monster Trio and Brook. You can't, you let any of them loose. Yeah,
they would trivialize the situation too much.
Yeah, I really hope we get back to... Which I love everything that's happening, but I really hope next chapter we get back to the Loki stuff. I think Oda's got to merge all of this at some point.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to merge it with a flashback. Like, I could easily see us getting Loki stuff because he talks about rocks. Like, maybe Loki's like, like, if only Rocks was still here... Ooh, Rocks would have done this, or Rocks would have done that. And then we get the God Valley portion of Rocks because Scopper and Sommers start conversating. Like, this could be the start of a God Valley flashback.
Which, that'd be really interesting if we had the God Valley flashback, like the real one in the manga at the same time we get the one in the anime, like the brief
that'd be nice.
Preview. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. It'd be cool because then if I do a video on it, I'll have some clips of God Valley to actually show in the video instead of like the same.
Just think about editing
from like when Sengoku first told us about God Valley, and the clip I have is literally like it like pans down to the island of God Valley, and then text that says God Valley pops up. That was like from the anime. And then that's like pretty much all we got. There's like some brief flashbacks where like there's like Garp is like all bloody and like there's fire and people running, but like we don't actually see anything. So I would love to get some actual clips.
Yeah, then we have like the really bad silhouettes of like Roger, Garp, and then you have like Roxy's the back, and that's all we got, man.
Yeah,
all we got.
Not a lot. Yeah, I'm excited for the anime though.
Yeah, next week we're gonna see Clap get clapped. I'm excited.
Yep.
Kill that dancing fool, man.
I've been waiting for that. I've been waiting to see Clap get clapped. Which actually shout out to Clap. I feel bad for Clap because his name being Clap just leads to way too many jokes because he did get clapped. But
yeah, and then imagine if he was like older. I mean, even older than he already is. Like it could start being like an STD joke.
Oh God, yeah, that'd be real bad.
Yeah,
Kuma's had it bad enough, you know.
Kuma's suffered enough. Please, not anymore. Don't bring his parents into this.
We didn't even get to see his mom, did we? Or did we briefly? I can't remember.
Yeah, we see the mom briefly.
Yeah, she died. She dies first. I just remember that much. She was in it less than the dad was.
Yeah, we get like 4 panels of the mom, and then it's like, hey, she got sick and died.
Yep, and then the dad dies too.
Huh? I wonder if they tried to experiment on the mom, like Ginny.
Yeah, it's so sad that it literally starts with Kuma being born, and we see his mom and dad, and then the next time we see the mom, well, pretty much. Then like they're all like tied up and Clap is like halfway dead, and then the next time it's, hey, your mom died. Like, man, Kuma, jeez.
It's such it happens in such quick succession, you know.
Kuma's
like
born, they're locked up,
comical.
She dies. God, that's like, I've been thinking about doing a big Kuma analysis video because he deserves it.
I'm trying to see, what chapter is that?
1095.
Wow, that's so long ago. 1095.
That is that's the episode we're on.
Feels like just
manga,
yesterday.
Or in the anime. Yeah. The 1095 is, well, I haven't seen the last episode, so I don't know how much of this they covered, but I know Saturn appearing, which is 1094, was last episode, so we're going to get some of 1095 in the next episode.
Yeah, I'm looking at it all right now. Oh, he's a healthy boy! And then Kuma's like, "Da!" And the next thing you know, Clap is screaming, "But my wife doesn't! Please, let him go! Please!" And then 2 seconds later, hey, your mom died.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it's so quick. The anime is definitely going to prolong this.
Yep.
We need to see more of like their life as a slave. We need to spend more time with them.
And I actually have one question about that for you in relation to Elbaph.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for Kuma here? Because he's supposed to get saved, or that's the plan. Like, where do you think that's going?
He's definitely going to come back, in my opinion. I think Kuma will be in the final war, but I don't think we're going to see any of it yet. I think it will take some time before Kuma is back up and running. I think it's way too soon. Like imagine he goes off commission last arc, and then he comes back this arc. That's too quick.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they fail to bring him back, personally. I love Kuma.
Same.
It's just like, man, like, for the reasons you said, where it's back-to-back arcs, I think that's definitely a reason to think about, is like, man, like, I was really in my feels last arc, and now right away
he's alive. He's gonna come back.
They're all happy ever after. But I don't know how they would do that. I mean, maybe the way that happens is it kind of dives into like the lore of the Buccaneers. Maybe it's like, oh, he only survived because of this, but there's no way to save him now, or I don't know. But
yeah, I flip-flop. Like, 1 minute I want Kuma to die because he had such a conclusive story. His sacrifices were great. Bonnie's here. But on the flip side, I want him to be alive just so that the Buccaneer DNA can move onwards. Which, by the way, guys, look, I'm progressive. You know, I don't like Buccaneers, but I want the Buccaneers to survive. So yeah, like that's one reason why I want Kuma to still be around, just so we can pass on that lineage. And I also see a future where maybe in that final war, it's a surprise. Like maybe Bonnie's going down and then Kuma shows back up. Or maybe Ivankov. Maybe Ivankov in his darkest days, he's about to get killed by a saint. And then Kuma steps in and he's like, hey, Ivankov, I'm here. And then Ivankov's like, whoa, like in the last war, you forgot me, but you remembered me finally. Like, I think it would be really wholesome if he came back. But, you know, I just feel like with how Egghead was set up, It would have been perfect if we left him back there, though. I think both could work, but, I just say rip the Bandit off. He should have just died. But I don't think him being alive is awful. I just hope we don't see him again soon.
I feel like Kuma, sacrificing himself so, like, the crew could have escaped. That would have been, like, the best of all the worlds, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't hate that.
Because it would have been Saba Odi again, except Kuma actually dies this time. And maybe that's why Oda didn't want to do it. He's like, no, like, we're going to help Kuma this time. Like, we're going to save him instead of him saving us. But I'm like, look, I need some people to die, Oda. I don't like saying it that way, but I'm just like, it feels like I have nothing to worry about.
All the Vegapunks lived.
Yeah, all the Vegapunks lived. Well, and even the real Vegapunk might get, saved or cloned or whatever they're going to do. Like, some people need to die, Oda. And
nobody died on Egghead.
And it won't be these kids. Maybe Jarl.
Yeah, maybe Jarl. I have a theory about Jarl that Law's going to come over and get the sword out of his head.
What's that?
Oh, it's as simple as that. I think Law's going to heal and fix Jarl's head, and then maybe his memory comes back or something of the sort. But I think Law will be integral when it comes to getting that sword out. Because right now, it seems like it's actually going through his brain.
Well, has he said anything about memory loss? Just because I've heard a lot of people say that, like, oh, let's get the sword out, and then he'll remember something. But I'm like, I don't think he's ever even said that he is forgetting something, or that, or there's not even like if we go into the Loki flashback with Harold in that fight, and maybe like there's something that Jarl did that he like that we know is like, oh wait, how has Jarl not mentioned this or whatever, like. Then maybe, but I feel like there's been nothing set up for that yet, unless I missed something.
No, you didn't miss anything. It's not said that Jarl has memory loss. I think that's just one of the reasons why. I think people just bring that up, or that theory, because it would make a lot of sense, and that could eventually help clear Loki's name even. Like, maybe he did just forget something, right? Like, maybe he just got conked in the head, and then he just woke up at a really bad time. Or maybe there's like a gap of memory that's missing and he's just put the pieces together and he just implied the middle and he implied that Loki was a villain. But I think the sword's going to be important. Like, I mean, we have to know how we got there in the first place even. Like, even if we don't pull it out, I think we have to learn, like, what the hell happened to him. Like, did Loki do that?
Well, it's because it's Harold's sword, right?
Yeah, it's Harold's sword.
I mean, the thing that I always think about is, Shiki has the steering wheel in his head. And I'm a believer that if there's a place for Shiki to appear, it should be this arc, because he's got the float fruit. You go back to Strong World. Like wanted to take Nami for weather stuff, and like obviously we have a lot of Sky Island connections to this arc. And I think this should probably be the arc where Uranus gets talked about, and that's obviously the Sky weapon. So like, there's a lot of stuff there that ties Shiki to the Sky or Sky Islands or whatever. And I feel like this would be a good place. And now we have two people with stuff in their heads. And also another thing that I saw recently when I was working on a video. Let me see if I can find the image here. Because I didn't know this until I was looking through Kuma's Wikipedia page. If I can... Yeah, so whenever Kuma was first thought of by Oda, he actually had Kuma be the one with the steering wheel in his head.
Yeah.
And he changed his mind.
Yeah, Kuma initially had the steering wheel head, which is kind of funny. He looked pretty cursed.
He did. And he had like half of like a metal head, like he's like cyborg-ish. It's kind of cursed. But this was originally his, like, he even has the whole drawing from One Piece Green. So, I don't know. Yet we have Kuma this arc. We have another guy with a sword in his head. Shiki might appear. For me, it's kind of setting up for that, but...
Yeah,
I don't know. For Jarl, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I mean, it'd be cool if we got the sword removed from Jarl's head and the steering wheel removed from Shiki's head, like in the same fell swoop. But
it would be funny if we removed the sword from Jarl's head and he got like 10 times stronger. Like that sword's been nerfing him the entire time. Like he's like, quick, people, take out the sword. I need to save Elbaph.
Or maybe the sword itself is really powerful for some reason, but it just hasn't been able to like be used. And so maybe he pulls it out. He's like, oh, well, thank you. Oh, by the way, this sword is one of the 12 supreme grade swords and has a devil fruit imbued into it.
That would be
it's
so
like, by
insane.
the way,
Yeah, I mean, Herald's Blade, I mean, that would be... It would qualify, right? It has the notoriety.
You know,
King Harold, the strongest king of Elbaph, his blade being a supreme grade, like that's not awful.
I don't think it's crazy at all. And honestly, I would say that at this point in the story, like, how many supreme grade swords have we heard of?
I think we've heard of 5.
We've heard of 5. Yoru, Shodai Katetsu, which is likely the one that Nushjuro has. Murakomogiri, which is Whitebeard's blade. Ace, which is Roger's blade.
And then Fujitora.
And then Fujitora's that was recently revealed. So those are only 5. So I'm like, hey, we're missing 7. And I gotta be honest, I think we're gonna see a sword get elevated to that grade because Enma, remember, who was it? Hitetsu or Sukiyaki, he said that, hey, like, that blade has yet to be forged into a black blade, and that can increase its rank. So, so I think Zoro is going to elevate some of his blades to supreme grade. So basically, we have 7 more to find, and even if Zoro, turns his into them, that it's gonna go from 12 to 13 to 14. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the 12 gets reset, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So,
it's funny you mentioned that because a long time ago I made a theory video about Zoro taking all of his blades to supreme grade quality because I forgot the ranking system. It just the word eludes me right now. But whatever ranking system that the One Piece world uses, it's the same ranking system in real life, where there's 21 great blades, there's 12 supreme grade blades, etc.
Yeah.
But in real life, there was an alteration to that where I believe, like, after a couple hundred years or something of the sort, they added 3 extra blades onto the supreme grade blade list. So that is why I think Zoro and all 3 of his swords will become blackened, and they'll hit that tier.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, though, is that one of his swords is let me find it. It's the lowest grade, so he has to, like, raise that up 2, or switch out the blade, for a new one.
Yeah. Was that the Watawichi Monji?
No, that is the great. I always get him confused too. Great, skillful, supreme. Supreme is the top one. He doesn't have any of those, but he has 2 great grade blades, which are Wado Ichimonji and Enma. And then he has a skillful grade blade, which is the Sandai Katetsu. It doesn't have it on this list, though, but I know that's been said before. I'm going to try to find it, because it has Nidai Katetsu here. Hold on.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think he'll take them all up. It would be weird if he blackens one blade, but not the other 2. Like, at that point, just go all the way, just blacken all of them.
Or, like, for me, I don't know if I want the Wado Ichimonji to be black blade, because it's like a white blade, like it's the opposite. And I think there's almost like a cool story there to have, like, maybe Enma's a black blade because it's like it's named after the King of Hell, and it's like, tried killing Zoro, like it's a more like sinister kind of blade. But then Wado Ichimonji, because it ties to Kuina, and I think he said, like, I'll be so great that you can hear my name from the heavens or something, right? And he got that sword from her. So you have kind of a heaven and hell thing with those 2 blades. So it's really the last one that we need to worry about. The
Katetsu?
And I'm also and I'm looking it up, and it doesn't say, like, I know for sure that this is supposed to be a skillful grade blade, but it doesn't say it officially on here on the wiki. But I know it's supposed to, because you have the Shodai Katetsu is the top one, the Nidai is the middle one, and then, you know what I mean, then you would have the Sandai is the last one. They just call it a grade blade. They don't call it I think it's a skill. Who cares? So he has to elevate that twice.
Oh,
so I don't know.
So grade blade is just that's just the lowest tier. So grade blade is literally its own tier. It just doesn't sound like a tier.
It's just like it's the way I read it is like it's a named blade who isn't in the top what is it? 83, 50 plus 21 plus 12.
Yeah, 83.
Yeah, but regardless, it would have to get upgraded several times to get up there.
Imagine just being black and puts you on the supreme grade list, which I think is going to be the case.
I feel like you have to, like, I think blackening it only makes it go up one rank. I mean, they haven't really gone into this, but that's the feeling I get is like if you have a skillful grade blade and you turn it into a black blade, that doesn't automatically make it a supreme grade, you know, because like it's still like not of a good quality at base level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense, because I mean, Shisui is only a great grade, not a supreme.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is. Yeah. Oh, that's true. I guess that's proof right there. So yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also blades in the supreme grade rank that aren't black blades, and so that I think that makes an interesting comparison between the two, where it's like you can literally just have a sword that was crafted better than one that became a black blade, right? Like black blade is built to like improve already existing swords, but like the original creation can be done better.
That's so funny. I'm looking at Tashigi right now because she's apparently the swordsman to hunter. Her dream is to collect all the swords from every criminal in the world. She only has 3 blades in her collection. She has the Kashu.
She's doing a terrible job.
Yeah, she has the Kashu, who she got from Mr. 11 of Baroque Works. She also have the Yamoroshi, a blade that belonged to Billy of the Yes Pirates. And she's currently carrying Shigure, which she always had.
She's got to pick it up, man. That's one of Oda's biggest mistakes, or like biggest fumbles. Like, what's he doing with Tashigi? Like, does anybody really feel compelled by her character? Like, honestly,
I liked her at first. You know, catch me in like Logtown, and I was like, "Yo, Tashigi's gonna be nuts."
That's how I felt too.
Every arc that goes on afterwards, it's like, oh, Tashigi might not be that person. I mean, Alabasta was, I think, peak Tashigi, where, you know, she was questioning her own justice.
Yeah.
I thought that was dope.
Yes. Yeah,
but
and then you had
after that, it's gone.
Smoker. Smoker was like encouraging her to like get stronger and stuff like that, right? Like,
yeah, like don't let Alabasta happen again.
Tashigi's dream is to free all Meito. Is that how you say that?
Yeah,
Meito from the hands of criminals such as pirates. She believes pirate-wielded swords are crying because instead of being used for noble and honorable deeds, they're being used for criminal activity. Listen, Tashigi. I don't think any Meito are that excited to be in your possession because they don't do anything.
They'd be wasted.
You know, like Zoro is out there doing more noble and honorable things than you are at this point. And it's not that Tashigi's doing dishonorable things. Is that Tashigi's not doing much of anything.
Yeah. Honestly, they should have given this dream to Zoro at that point. Like, Zoro becomes the world's strongest swordsman and he collects swords. Because that'd be sick. Like, imagine out of nowhere Zoro whips out like King's Sword or Arlong's Sword. Or, ooh, this guy's kind of tough. Here's who's blade. You know, just something stupid. Like, that would be kind of sick, right? Like, Zoro's room is just, like, adorned with swords on the wall.
I would really like, and it could be Zoro, or maybe it's Tashigi, or maybe they combine for it, but I really would like someone to just break down all the blades. Like, I know I can go to the wiki and figure it out and stuff, but I want somebody in the story to be like, and I don't know how Oda would do it so it's digestible, but like, hey, here's all the blades and their ranks that we've seen so far. And here's like some of the missing ones. And maybe it doesn't have to give us all the information, but it'd be really cool just to have like, oh yeah, one of the supreme grade blades is named this, I don't know, like XYZ, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then we're left wondering, oh, who has that one? Or maybe we get told all of them and we're like, okay, we only know half. Where are the other ones at? Like, I want that kind of build up. So, because maybe a sword's name could be something where we can start building theories about who has it or who's had it in the past, right?
Yeah.
Like Rogers is named Ace, and he named his kid Ace. So if we didn't know Ace existed, like the person, but we knew that Rogers' sword was named Ace, you know, that could be like a cool little just thing there to build up for. So it's like, I don't know. I hope they reveal more soon. Yeah.
Release a data book. Easy. That would sell so easily. But yeah, that is where we're gonna end today's conversation, though.
Okay.
Thank you, Dax, for joining me, man. I really freaking appreciate it. We were only supposed to go for like an hour and a half, but here we are, damn near the 3-hour mark. Pretty crazy. We will be back pretty soon for one of your videos as well, so stay tuned for that, guys. Make sure to check out Dax down below. I'll have his Dax Sake channel as well as Redacted down there too. So make sure to check him out. He's a really cool guy. Love spending time with him. Love the conversation. And just
Same.
Thank you again, Dax, for being here, man. Any final words?
Yeah, well, thank you, Sai, and thank you everyone for watching. I love coming on here and chatting with you, and you pick some pretty good topics. You make me think more than I did before. Like you mentioned that chair. I never even heard about the chair, and now I can't stop thinking about the chair. So I love coming on here, hearing some new spins on things for sure. So thank you, Sai. Thank you, everyone, and make sure you subscribe to Sai.
And to Dax.
As far as me, I'll just be happy if you even check out the channel. But make sure you subscribe to Sai. That's the most important thing.
I mean, honestly, we'll just be happy if we get back to playing Claire Expedition.
I was literally about to say, my last thing is that if you have not played Expedition 33, you need to right now.
Yeah, if you're a gamer, if you like, you don't even have to like turn-based combat, but if you like games in general, man, Claire Obscure is a phenomenal game. My God, we were like gushing over that game like 30 minutes before the call, just talking about where we're at and like our builds and stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I don't know. We could have a whole video on this side. I've actually been debating doing a redacted video on Expedition 33. So maybe when we're both done, I'll get us and King Recon in a chat or something, because he's the one who got me into it.
Spit game about it.
But like, man, it's so good. So if you guys just love good stories, like good just experiences, like the gameplay part is fun and they did a great job, and the fighting's cool. Like you guys will like that. But man, you know, you guys are here because you like One Piece, so I know you guys like good stories. You guys will like Expedition 33. There's honestly some One Piece references, I would argue, like Kinemon.
Oh my God,
you know what I'm talking about. If I don't want to spoil anyone, but Kinemon, that's all I'll say. It whenever I saw that happen, all I could think was Kinemon, and I got a couple messages saying the same thing. So
there's a lot of good moments in the game, man. Great story, great music, great gameplay. There's nothing to hate about it.
I was gonna say that'll be my first video game video
breakdown,
and that tells you how good it is, right?
Yeah,
like,
you're breaking the norm, really.
Yeah,
it's breaking ground.
It's too good, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. That's my spiel for Expedition 33.
That's a good spiel, and it's Sai approved as well. Peace out, guys.
Hell yeah, peace.